Damez, I'm back with my agenda. Never follow rules, I want my funeral magenta. Just to piss off all my fucking homophobic relatives. Growing more imperative that I control my narratives. So I spit fire through this pop filter. La la, you got to have the Zaza for me to shop with you. Raising my rates and I'll control fates. But if you fuck with me, I bring your fucking life to a stop quicker. I'm in your throat like some hot liquor. Roll through your hood like a drop sugar. Hands like a stock filter. I think if I was straight, then maybe I would pop quicker. Playing the lotto, I'm on the reposado. Can't be in my vicinity if you possessing maybes or fragile masculinity like Boosie tip a baby. It's crazy cause the very clothes you wearing was designed by the same group of people used to trying to keep behind. You ain't worried about the kids, you just use them as a shield to hide behind the bigotry of how you really feel. Ain't no think pieces in emails as long as it's some females that's kissing in the backseat. And you can check my rap sheet. I'm running circles around these washed up rappers like a track meet. Been flexing like an athlete. I'm jigging to the backbeat. Work selling in the trap meet. And my niggas back heat. Suggest to keep it cool before they bust and make it hat leak. And I ain't even really scratched the surface. Defeat the self-doubt, don't defeat the purpose. Make sure you got it or you won't complete the purchase. A man without a plan is like a clown without a circus. That's Damez, he go crazy on the mics and shit. Rolling blunts super straight on the pipes and shit. Fat ass with the fucking tiger stripes and shit. I get faded, grab my pen and then I write some shit about this crazy world we living in. My homies steady giving in, the doors steady kicking in. I never care about fitting in. No whipping the E-class, that motherfucker speed fast. I caught me a peach pass and reach for my weed stash. All sports teams, but I'm ballin', nigga. Better have a money move if you callin', nigga. It's my time to shine and you know I'm stallin', nigga. Damez going up, ain't that shit appallin', nigga. I ain't even really in my prime yet. But I just been grinding like the time said. Mindset, I'm the fucking money, not a bitch though. I can tell you broke, but I ain't never been a snitch though. Came up on cassettes and CDs on the block. I don't smoke no cigarettes, but the trees stay in stock. It's the DAM to the IEN. And if I stand out, nigga, why be in? It's motherfuck the cops and motherfuck the ops. My niggas got good credit, we talking trades and stocks. I'ma always keep it real, that's what I get from my pops. They'll give me a fucking bullet before they give me my props. I got this war in my mind, I don't know who winning. All this Patron in my body and my head keeps spinning. Yo, how I'ma get to heaven? I mean, if I keep sinning, that's where life would drive you crazy, man. Just keep living. I ain't even really scratched the surface. Defeat the self-doubt, don't defeat the purpose. Make sure you got it or you won't complete the purchase. A man without a plan is like a clown without a circus. Damez, and I ain't even really scratched the surface. No, defeat the self-doubt, don't defeat the purpose. Make sure you got it or you won't complete the purchase. A man without a plan is just a clown without a circus. Damez. Hip-hop. This rap shit is just in me.
I took a hit for the team, took a bullet for the dream that we would one day all be free, free from prejudice, free from sexism, free from bigotry. I die for creativity, I die for freedom to be free. I died and left a legacy. Oh, but baby, I still live through technology. After the sun, comes the rain. And after the storm, the sun will start shining. What is the pain? And tears of pain. And tears of pain. That's your struggle, just be patient. Your destiny will manifest, yes, Bubzzzfloww.
What is going on? What's going on? What is going on, y'all? Hope that you all are having a pretty cool Thursday evening. I'm kind of glad to be before y'all earlier because normally I kind of go live later on in the evening, but I wanted to go ahead and get this on out the way. Again, shout out to Deshaun and Queen Stevie and Harold, and just shout out to like my day one. I don't want to say ride or die because y'all gotta live y'all own life, okay? But y'all really riding and really establishing community in reference to like keeping me updated with a lot of stuff. Okay, so I want to say thank y'all so much for that. Baby, even though the last live I did yesterday, I was kind of more in my empathic, somewhat pessimistic a little bit type of atmosphere. This video that we're going to, or live shall I say, that we're going to react to, it just continues to remind me to keep going forward. Like, even though the light, the flame may be so damn dim, it should be out, some people would say, but that flame, no matter how small that flame is, it still burns. And listening to it, I was like, yeah, this is what actual Black and queer intersectional conversations look and sound like. We're going to be listening to 3 individuals. One individual is a cis, hetero Black man who has a wife, if I'm not mistaken, and a child. Is going to be with a Black trans woman, okay? And then a Black cis gay man. First of all 3 of these individuals are, again, what is known as open-minded, okay? They ask questions, not to be assholes or to be slick, because if you're going to be slick, let's be slick all the way out in the open. But actually asking questions to genuinely understand. And even though there's going to be people in their comment section that they're going to be responding to throughout the live, are going to be more queerphobic or fear-based, I like the fact that there are Black heterosexual men who are confident within themselves, who are willing to host the conversation, help navigate the conversation in a way that is productive for also queer people, because he's not choosing to demonize them. I hope that all of the other platforms that are so informative and that are so educational, okay, and have scholars and people who are smart, I hope that they also realize that they're also learning. And that in order for you to really understand what the hell y'all talking about, you have to actually listen to us. The issue is that we've been listening to y'all for so long and listening to y'all in reference to our narrative. And now that we're taking control of our narrative, y'all feel some type of way. Again, shout out to Boss Man, because Boss Man said that we should check ourselves. And I want you to see what it looks like when you can get, again, a cis hetero Black man, a trans woman, a Black trans woman, and a cis gay Black man together, that actual conversations can happen. Okay? Now, before we get into that, boom, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All the videos, songs, images, and graphics used in this live belong to their respective owners, and BubzDaGawd does not claim any right over them. If you want to listen to this video without my commentary, or live, shall I say, the link is in the description box below. So without further ado, let me go ahead and put my banner up real quick. Okay, fair use doctrine is enacted. Okay, if you sue me, you would just be practicing. Do you hear me? And again, shout out to this 90s nostalgic lo-fi music. I found this playlist earlier today while I was listening to the live. And I was like, oh yeah, let me download this. So anyway, let's get into it. Consciously, Hope Giselle, and I forgot the black gay man's name. He's gonna say it. But anyway, let's get into it.
This is part 2 of gay, black, trans black, straight bisexual, straight. This is the conversation what we're trying to have. I know that a lot of people that have some criticisms about us being in the echo chamber. You know what I'm saying? So what we're gonna attempt to do tonight, you know what I'm saying, with the wonderful Hope, with the wonderful Jay, is get into our bag and kind of have some crucial conversations that's gonna definitely disrupt the comfort zone. We're gonna definitely have a bit of an uncomfortable conversation or conversations today. Anything y'all want to add to it before I get straight into the questions?
Keep it cute in the comments. Keep it cute in the comments.
That's a good one. Keep it cute in the comments.
Keep it.
And at the same time, even though people say keep it cute in the comments, if we're gonna have the real conversations, I want y'all to bring the real shit. I want you to tell me how you really feel, what you really think, what you really believe.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
In the comments,
when I tell you, you look great on tonight.
Oh, thank you.
You know I ain't all the way gay now.
Oh goodness.
Here
you go. Already.
Even though I'm wearing a hat and a hoodie, I ain't all the way gay. But go ahead.
We just started and you
already.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, man, this is the unlikely person. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, the Atlanta show is already sold out. So if you want to go to October 24th, I apologize. That show is sold out. But if you in DC or Houston,
come on now.
Y'all come to Detroit. Where y'all coming to Detroit?
Today, I'm hoping that we can pull more of my fellow cisgender straight people. You feel me? When I say cisgender, I'm talking about that means you just identify with the gender you was assigned at birth, acknowledging that there are people that don't identify with the gender that was assigned at birth. That's what cisgender mean. I ain't trying to call nobody sissy. I ain't talking nobody. But
do you see how Clinton, he was able to do that as a black heterosexual man? You see how there was no pushback? Oh my God. Do you see how we're just able to just humanize another person by literally understanding what cisgender mean? Even though there were other people who were taking the word CIS, which is a scientific word, and conflating it with CYST, like a cyst, something negative. So again, shout out to Conscious Lee, and I hope that more black men could just be more forward thinking, especially since they want to go forward in their life.
I'm looking to pull more people that identify in terms of sexuality and gender, how I identify into this. Not necessarily man, just straight cis. Today we're gonna ask some crucial questions because I know that in this unlikely throuple dialogue that we have, I'm hoping that some people will feel comfortable to kind of bring us some questions, man. Starting off, man. Some people feel, why do gay men have to be so flamboyant?
I'm gonna let them answer that.
These the questions we're gonna be asking, the questions that I've gotten either directly from my comment section, comments that I've gotten from homeboys and cousins and uncles and aunties, in comment sections that in questions that I've just gotten from just being in dialogue with random people that's like, hey, consciously, you be on that gay shit. These are the questions I'm asking. I'm gonna put that hat on though, because I'm gonna try to push back and respond.
Okay, let's do it.
Jay,
why the girls gotta be so flamboyant?
Why the girls gotta be so flamboyant?
Why are y'all so pressed though? Like, what is anybody's expression hurting anybody else?
I don't want no punk to be around my kids.
Well, keep your kids in the goddamn house.
No, because you're the awkward one. You the one that's different. I'm trying to teach my kids to be a man, and you a punk. So
I'm gonna grab my hat. Okay, I see.
Okay, so let me break down a couple things. The first
break down the things.
The first thing is, I think flamboyant always is just trying to stuff a whole bunch of things in this very small box. It is not my fault that you have a narrow idea of how you can exist in the world. I do not give a shit about how You act just like your cousin them, act just like that nigga down the street, act just like old boy from round the way. If you want to be a round the way ass nigga, be you. Be basic, be dusty, be whatever the fuck you want to be. But I am not gonna change the fact that my nails are green, the fact that I enjoy being in the skin I'm in, because I'm the only motherfucker in here.
Mm.
That's my truth.
Mm.
Okay, but do you not? So I think that my thing is when I hear conversations around that, do you not feel like it's your duty, right? Because kids are impressionable to then pull back when they're around, or do you feel like it's okay for young boys specifically to see you in all of your zestiness, if you will?
I think there's two questions in there. I'll
Mhm.
answer the one you asked, but the one that I think is more important, I'll have to get to in a second. I always think it's appropriate to be appropriate around children,
Mm-hmm.
because just like I'm not gonna, like, I have a 2-year-old niece. I'm not gonna go in there cussing up a storm around her, because that is not the decorum that her father,
What's
someone I
up, boy?
respect
Crazy.
and know and love, has said is appropriate to act around her, specifically this particular kid. And I think that culturally we just have some very interesting definitions around what appropriate looks like. That, and I do acknowledge that it's
Mm.
situation specific, it is setting specific.
Mm-hmm.
So
However,
I'm curious, real fast before you go. So do you think it's appropriate?
Now, before they do that, because they're gonna ask some other questions, but again, if a man is effeminate, if that is naturally who they are, and we're talking about their mannerisms. We're not talking about the ones, oh yeah, slay queen girl. And even if that was the case, if they ain't bothering you, why are you making it an issue? Now, if they just being loud and boisterous in the goddamn restaurant or whatever, and everybody trying to enjoy themselves, bitch, then that's different. But we're talking about somebody who has a little switch in their walk, or their wrist is a little bent, as y'all would say, or just had a certain flair about them. That would be enough to warrant this whole investigation on, well, why you got to be feminine, why you got to be like this. Basically, why are you not assimilating to what a man, quote unquote, societally should be and culturally should be? Don't know you from a can of paint, but basically because that's how you show up, that now that's being demonized. So, do I think it's appropriate for flamboyant men to be around children? Hell yeah, because your children are going to be around flamboyant little boys. So, whether they're adults or they're children, the aspect of queerness at its basic core, as far as the human being aspect is concerned, is going to always be there. The last time I came down here to visit my parents, because again, I'm out of state, I had a conversation with my father and we talked about queerness, and I asked him, did you know people that were gay when you were younger? He said, hell yeah. So obviously your children's going to be around it. So I do think that it's appropriate for feminine men to be out, especially if they ain't doing nothing to you nor your child. Now let's continue with the live.
Appropriate to refer to the girls in front of children?
What's up, Queen Stevie?
what do you mean refer?
Right.
Like literally being like, hey, I'm talking about gay men, but I'm going to call them the girls.
Mm.
Do I think it's appropriate to like say the term?
Now, before we go into that, it's interesting because I've been told, or there's this narrative that I'm trying to be transgender my damn self because I use the word girl a lot. Oh, girl. And again, people don't understand that girl is a slang term. It's a term from gay culture. It's another way of saying friend, if you will, or someone in association which you understand. Just like how niggas say bros. And just like how back in the day, older niggas, when they were younger, were saying shit like, you jive turkey, show you right, show enough, and all that. It's the exact same thing. But let's continue further with their explanations.
The girls around.
Like, yes, literally that simple. That's literally what I'm asking.
Oh.
No one's ever asked me that question. Would I say the girls around children?
Girls.
The only reason that I don't have an answer is because I'm just not around kids that often.
Okay.
Like
Oh,
I'm
well,
around
so
my
fuck
I'm
kids,
around my
huh?
niece. I'm around my niece, and so I have a very different relationship with her because I'm
Yeah, because
related to her.
yeah, for
That
sure.
I'm her uncle, and
Mhm.
so I will have conversation with her mama, and I might say it's the girls or whatever, but I don't even know. No, I probably would. I wouldn't say code switch, but I would probably tailor my conversation to the setting and the people I'm around.
Mhm.
Me,
Mhm.
me.
Um,
However, I'm not gonna change who I am. Like
Mhm.
I'm wearing a Dear Black Gay Man shirt, hat, sweatshirt. I'm not gonna take this off because Joe Schmo and his son or daughter walked in. I'm gonna do me.
Mm.
All
I
right.
won- I wonder though, because I think that this is a comment that comes up a lot for multiple different topics. And somebody said that there's a time and place for everything,
Hmm.
right? And so it's one of those things where,
El Marino. Shout out to
right,
you.
like I sit back and I say, like, okay, well, a time and place for people to be themselves, especially when themselves isn't disrespectful. Like, I don't think, to me, it's not inherently disrespectful for a gay man to lovingly call his friends and his people like, oh girl, da da da, like whatever.
Mhm.
Because to
Mhm.
me, the thing that's interesting is that women will do it to their flamboyant gay friends all the time. Like, oh,
Mm.
y'all, that's just Tyrone. I feel comfortable around him. You know how it is. I don't mean no disrespect.
Yeah.
But then if a gay man does it inherently when he's referring to
Exactly,
his
Steve.
friends, and he's like, oh, child, that girl, Timothy. And then all of a sudden, a person has a problem with it, right? Then it's like, oh, don't do that in front of my kids. But you just did it 10 minutes ago when you called me Gunkle J, like, or when you called me your punk friend before I got here, and you don't think I heard that. Like, those are those things that you do in front of your children that indicate that I'm different. But then when I own it in a way that's not negative, right? I think that what y'all really mean
Mm.
sometimes is like, there's a time and a place for everything, but I want to teach my kid that it's bad before you get a chance to teach them that it's
They don't
good.
like us.
Ooh, come on. Hope. And again, for the individuals who have so many questions about transness and, oh my God, how do we understand transness? Hope Giselle is an excellent example of an individual who doesn't mind educating. That's literally what she does. So again, if you have questions and you're open-minded like y'all say y'all are, and y'all say y'all not queerphobic, y'all, then why don't you look at some of her lives or use some of her videos on your lives to help break down, because therefore you'll be able to hear from a trans person's mouth as opposed to assuming and speculating. Okay? And to her point, she literally just hit the nail on the head, unfortunately. You want to find a way to make this evil to your children because the children are being used as a shield, because we see, per my last live, y'all don't really care about the children. And you definitely don't give a fuck about the queer ones. So y'all want to be able to control the narrative again for your children in reference to queerness before they learn the truth about queer people, which is that at the end of the day, they're human beings. You're afraid that they're going to transcend whatever fear that you're afraid to transcend. That's basically it. And the gag of it all, or when the expression is used, such as life expression of it all, is that a lot of people who are very queerphobic, people close to them end up coming into close proximity with people who are queer, or end up being queer themselves and just get to a point in their life to where they stop pretending and being fake and actually be honest. Because as much as we say that freedom and everybody free, unfortunately in this country, freedom comes with a cost. And we know exactly what that cost is. Unfortunately, trans women know what that cost is more so.
They don't like us taking the power out of it.
Yeah, I
They
think
don't.
I
Absolutely.
think I think that's the issue. I think that's the reason why so many people ask gay black men specifically about being flamboyant. Is because being flamboyant is supposed to be something that's derogatory, and when the motherfucker just like
Right.
you said one time, Jay, you gay as Christmas. It's like when a person is that proud to live in their skin, and make other people be pissed off because what you now taking on pride is supposed to be a diss. Flamboyant gay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now you happy flamboyant? Motherfucker, you taking power from me. You know what I'm saying? That's how I take it. Shit, that's shit.
I mean, the same thing could be said in reference to how we use the word nigga. Not nigger, but nigga. We've taken the power back. We control that narrative to where, again, we have people who are white who are low-key afraid to say that word. So again, it's about taking agency of it, or how I would explain it, transmuting these negative experiences, learn from them, and then turn whatever was a negative into an actual positive.
The funny thing about all of that comes up when I wear this get up to the barbershop and to the gym. I can't tell you how many straight men will be ass naked in the locker room at the gym till I walk in this. Even though I lift heavier than them, they girl was just talking to me on the floor in the gym. I don't want them because they dusty and their feet is nasty. But all of a sudden they clutching pearls, proverbial straight nigga pearls, because I have taken the power out of whatever homophobic, sexist, misogynistic slurs that they spewing in their head. I'm okay living in my skin. People are okay with sexuality when they feel like I'm gonna hide it or I'm insecure about it. But the second that I be bold enough to say I'm a gay man and I'm wearing the Dear Black, I got the sweatshirt and the hat to prove it, is when that's when they get off for Clemson and don't know what to do.
Let me ask you this thing.
Exactly. A lot of us that are black queer people, okay, because I might have some people who ain't black to listen to it. Shout out to y'all. But I mean, again, like he said, not even the gym, but just really honestly, the barbershop. How we would go into the barbershop and we would literally just want to get our hair cut. And before all this booking shit, you have to get in where you fit in and have to sit there and be subjected to that. Individuals who say that they're secure in who they are, whenever a gay man comes around, there is this high alert or this alerted status of, oh my God, guard your booty hole. But who taught y'all that? Oh, society did. It's ingrained into you when you are younger. Because again, you end up bullying, excuse me, you end up bullying the queer children, the feminine boy. Y'all make fun of him. Y'all literally demonize him. So it already starts when you're young and then you go into adulthood. And the funny thing about adulthood is that you get to do things that you couldn't do as a child. And if you were to open up that closet that you want so many of the queer people to go back, oh my God, maybe the reason why the queers can't fit in the closet is because some of you people who ain't queer are in the closet. Because even when we in the closet, y'all still trying to see what the hell going on. What are you niggas doing over here? But now that queer men are again controlling their narrative, and whatever you deem to be a negative thing, they said, nigga, fuck you, and kept walking in their truth. A part of me is starting to believe there may be a turn some of you niggas on when that happens. Because just like the individual said, no shade, it's always the most unattractive ones that when nobody even looking at, that's always saying this queer phobic shit.
Love those experiences. I love making straight.
What's up, Queen
nervous.
Spicy?
Yeah, so follow-up question. When it comes to making straight niggas nervous, and or when straight niggas assume that you automatically want to be with them or want to sleep with them or want to hit on them because you gay, what has been your responses, especially when you find the nigga to be unattractive or you feel like they ugly
as hell,
you feel like what they get is not what you into? I'm just curious. I know that a lot of my homeboys, I be having a hard time explaining, like, hey, bro, nigga might be gay, but they might not be into you.
Hello.
But in those instances, I will tell you my biggest advocates have been straight black women, because, well, I won't even
just
say
so he
straight.
can talk to you niggas face to face.
Because it could be, a trans black woman. It could be any kind of black woman. But what black women have stood on business about is to Joe Schmo, who thinks that every gay dude wants him. Black women don't want you, and gay men are pickier than they are.
PSA. PSAASP. SPA. Whatever. APS. Gay men don't want you homophobic niggas. Gay men don't want you homophobic niggas. Gay men do not want you homophobic ass niggas. Especially you unattractive ones. Especially you unattractive ones. Especially you unattractive ones. Please, you gorilla in the mist ass niggas. Please stop thinking that because a nigga is gay that he want you. Some of y'all got bigger titties than y'all wives. Please. Because like I said, going forward, I'm going to start seeing that as a form of blatant disrespect to think that I would be attracted to you. Do I have to get pictures of the niggas that I talk to and the niggas I'm attracted to and show you a collage? And if I do, I guarantee you, a lot of niggas on these red platforms, they're not on there. You human manifestations of sky bisons, girl, that be talking all this shit. You have a better chance with Uncle Ben, Ronald McDonald, Burger King, Chef Boyardee, and any other male food item before you have a chance with BubzDaGawd. So please stop saying that. Because once y'all start doing that or keep doing that, I'm going to go ahead and really show you what a troll look like and turn gay as fuck and really expose the truth. Back to the video.
That's what they say.
Nigga, you heard somebody.
So I'm just like, black women don't even want you, and we 1,000 times pickier sometimes than they are. So why on
because we
earth
got our own shit,
would
girl.
you think that I want your crusty ankles and your ashy knees? Why on earth would I ever?
With that being said, let me ask this follow question. I'm actually curious for
the better question is why don't y'all moisturize? That's the better fucking question. Where is the baby oil gel?
And why don't y'all wipe y'all ass? Is it a surefire way to make sure the gays don't be looking at it? And if you think that's the case, baby, go on to Google and type in scat play, baby. You will be shocked. There are human beings, girl, who are into that shit, girl. Literally. But the majority of us as gays don't. We're not into that. Y'all be having booty crust under your nails. Hot Cheeto dust underneath your nails. Earwax, girl. Okay.
Where is the shea butter? Where is
a real man ashy, bro? A real man gonna be ashy, a little crusty, let you know that he.
Yo, the fish scales on your legs is nasty, bro.
Hell yeah, and also please make sure, like he said, moisturize y'all feet. Y'all be in the damn bed with y'all women and shit, scratching the shit out their damn thighs and ankles and stuff. Your feet throwing up Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to mess with. You got these Chinese eagle claw ass martial arts style toes. Hammerhead shark toes. Toes looking like broken Tetris blocks. Girl, your feet doing sign language, girl. Help. 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 They literally will buy black underwear for that very reason. That's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. Men, wash your ass. It's your ass. It's your ass. Wash it. It's yours. Now, if you enjoy washing it a little bit too much, that's not our business. But we asking you to wash it. Y'all want women to make sure that they motherfucking clean. You want to make sure they smelling good. You want to go down there and taste nothing like Aquafina. Y'all don't want to be sitting over there and you go down and it tastes like batteries. You don't want that. Go down and it tastes like a bunch of old rusty ass Abraham Lincoln pennies. You don't want that.
Hey, this is my follow-up question.
Now
we going there,
I'm
man.
On topic
People
here.
in the audience, you feel me? Y'all feel free. Thank y'all for hitting the comment section.
Right.
Girl, my munch is
Some
kicking
people
in,
in my
girl. This pizza
audience
gonna be so good after
believe
this
that gay
live. I'm waiting till
men
after
don't
this
have a
live done.
personality and only emanate black women. Jay, what do you say to this? Hope, what do you say to this?
The question is, gay men don't have no personality. Thus is why they have to, quote unquote, emulate women, and black women at that. So let's listen to both of their answers.
Some people in my audience
let Hope answer
gay
that
men
one
don't have a
first.
personality and only emulate aesthetics of black women trying to be black women. As a black
No.
man, I try to explain to them that the culture that y'all come from, or the LGBT culture and being feminine and how cis women feminine, it's not the same thing in terms of the slang and the lingo. And I think that a lot of times we believe that, you know what I mean? So I'm just curious for y'all. I'll just be the straight dude. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just curious.
If I could, Hope, can I answer that one first? Let me be clear. What most of us know is black culture now started with black trans people. And then black gay men picked it up from there. So every time Tamar or Nene Leakes does her tongue pop, she probably got it from some gay man who did something, and he definitely got it from some trans person who was just bold enough to be his or herself.
Boom. If you do your research. Because yes, again, I appreciate Boss Man showing us actually being the one to show us the blind spots instead of showing us the fear when he's showing us the other stuff, whatever. But to his point, yes, even, and they're gonna get into it a little bit later on in the live video or whatever, but even in the queer community, again, there is a divide, especially against those that are trans and the plus. You know what I'm saying? But again, if we look through history, we have to understand where we came from. And it was black trans women that were the trailblazers for the queer community. Marsha P. Johnson and another trans woman of color were the ones to start it in reference to the Stonewall riot, which birthed the Pride movement. That's why protecting trans women, especially trans women of color, is important. It's imperative. Because they're the ones that be putting in the work. And it's always the feminine energy that seems to put in the work. But I guess that's the case because emotion is simply energy in motion. It's moving. The masculine part is the thought, the creation aspect of it. The feminine aspect is to help it move the fuck forward. So that's a lesson for hetero and queer people. Because even though I'm a person who is gay, and I just say queer because for those of you who follow me, I get tongue tied a lot. My brain works faster than my mouth, girl. I be talking fast and everything. I be trying consciously to slow down when I talk. I try. But I don't know everything about the queer community, which is why I have to learn as well. Because it's not just gay. There are so many different intersections that I'm learning. And you ain't gotta learn. If you want to be ignorant and all that type of shit, go ahead, girl. But when you try stupid shit, don't get mad when you get challenged. Yeah, you maybe got away with that shit when you was a child, but you're an adult now. Ain't no more crying, boom, 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 to your mama.
That is the way culture happens. Every time you see
What's up, Harold in the motherfucking building?
it started with somebody
Make sure
who
y'all
was
share
old enough
and
inside LGBTQ culture to be themselves. That's where skinny jeans came from. That's where stacked jeans came from. That's where tongue pops and hair flips and Saucy Santana and a bob and all the things that we know to be pop culture, to be most aspects of any culture, probably started with some trans person who said, I'm going to just wake up and do me.
Yeah.
And then that became gay men's response to just wake up and do me, their permission to do me. And that trickled down to straight women and all the things that came after it. So the idea that gay culture, gay men, or anybody in LGBT culture does not have personality is just straight people trying to grasp at power over something that they did not originate.
Ooh. Let's go further than that. You know the videos that we see of a lot of heterosexual black men, especially young ones, unfortunately, who run up into the Gucci stores, the Louis Vuitton stores, the Prada stores, all these stores that is shown, especially or used in the black community as a sign of status. How they would run in and steal the shit and run out. Yeah, those were made by people who are queer or women. Or a man who was feminine. Personality. Didn't Drake start using the Noel bounce ass music and stuff? That also allowed men to twerk as well? And no shade, isn't Beyonce's, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm talking about the Beehive and the Barbs, y'all. I don't fuck with y'all like that as far as disrespect. I submit to y'all because y'all actually do shit and make people disappear and shit. But if I'm not mistaken, Beyonce's highest grossing tour was Renaissance, and Renaissance was dripping in queerness. Again, the civil rights movement, because we're hijacking the movement. But then again, you have, we say their names all the time because y'all keep forgetting. James Baldwin, who I deeply resonate with, because I also have the ability to capture people's attention when I speak. Langston Hughes, another person who used his words. Bed Rustin. An old girl, I forgot her name because her name is slipping my mind right now, who is also one of the face of the Black Panther Party that I shared earlier in one of my previous lives. And let's make it more personal for you Christian people. Again, the church, queer people serve the church, and the church has been able to thrive. Who's singing in your choirs, keeping y'all on key? Who the one playing the instruments and the organs and orchestrating everything? Who are the ones that are sometimes the armor bearers? Who are the ones that are serving in the church and doing a hell of a good job at it? Because now they found some sort of purpose in their life, especially in a place that's considered to be so taboo, that maybe God will excuse me from the judgment because I'm serving him even though I'm gay. And everyone else knows it. And everyone else says shit about it, but they don't really talk much about it because they're benefiting from it. Ask the Clark sisters, and again, I love the Clark sisters. But they get their hair and their face done by punks. Or how some niggas say, eunuchs. But that's why, in a perfect world, I would just love it if queer people, especially queer people of color, would just collectively en masse walk out of church and walk out of all these homophobic spaces and not give them their money. I wonder how y'all would probably be. Y'all would probably be fucked up. Churches would probably never be the same. You would go from a mega church to a storefront, I promise you that. Because again, we bring salt and flavor to the earth as well. It's not just salt and pepper here. There are so many different seasonings. And if your tongue is uncultured, even though some of y'all foobas look like your tongue is not uncultured, then that's on you. But there are some people that like things that are spicy, or as y'all say, zesty. And thank you, Harold. Angela Davis.
That is colonizing culture.
Yeah.
And it's some bullshit.
Can you answer Michaela's question right here before Hope goes? Because she asked a question. We're trying to engage the comment section. Also, make sure y'all get them tickets for DC in Houston, man.
Michaela says, so if a child reads your apparel and asks what it means, how would you explain it in a child-friendly manner? First, if a child, someone who is a minor, high school age or younger, comes up to me and asks me about my apparel, I'll say, you need to talk to your parents. It's not my responsibility to parent a child. I don't have any children. If consciously, or if Hope has kids, and they come up to me.
My kids ask that. I tell my kids that they mean they love the same gender. That mean that how me and your mama together. If they say they gay, that mean that whatever gender they identify as, they love and want to be with them. How I'm with your mama. And
boom, it's that simple. It's that simple. It's that simple.
Shit.
But
simple.
I would say it is not. No, that in that child's household, that is a age appropriate conversation for anybody, and it's not my job to dictate that. I just get to live my Black gay life.
Right. So basically what he's saying, how I interpret it is, if you a parent, that's something that you have a conversation with your child about. And it would be best for you to educate yourself. And just, if you ask me, the way that Consciously said it was a perfect example. Or you can just simply say, there are some people in the world who are going to love differently than you. And, well, not you because you're young, like you're saying, but there are people in the world who are going to love differently than what me and your mother has. Or me and what your grandmother has, because not everybody lives with their mom or dad. Or what me and your stepdad or stepmom has. There's always some, again, the different variations. But to his point, the man who is the queer man is saying that if like a child walk up to me in the store, and we know how that feels as queer people, oh my God, are you a boy or a girl? Are you gay? It's kind of like, oh Lord, here we go, girl. Because when y'all ask us that question, a lot of time we be on the defense like, okay, maybe I want to cuss your ass out, because now the child, even though the child is curious, trying to understand the world, that could be a teachable moment. But then again, queer people are learning to be more aware as far as, okay, well, maybe you should go talk to your parents about that. But then when they ask their parents about it, what are the parents saying? Because again, they're going to be reinforced because it's the parents. And then what happens if, let's not say that a child is asking a grown queer person, oh, are you a boy or a girl, whatever the question is. How do you then deal with it as parents if it's one child asking another boy, oh, why you walk like a girl? Why you talk like a girl? Or why you like playing basketball with us? You should be over there with the girls. Why you like playing football? Why you like being rough? Do you get what I'm saying? Like this stuff, girl, it's queerphobic, girl. That's why, because it's like, the reason why I say it's queerphobic, and it's even strengthening the fact that it's queerphobic, is that when queer people want to answer the questions and go down that road and explore the context and nuance of it all, so we can really get to the bottom of it, y'all be afraid to do that. Because I've been told all my life that if you go down that road, well, if you're securing yourself, you shouldn't have a problem, right? Unless you're telling me that you're not secure, you might end up discovering some stuff, and it might stick with you, and you might end up liking it. And if that's the case, I think it'll be wise for you to ask queer people how they survived, because that awareness that y'all might discover later on in your life, some of us already went through that and transcended that. Work smarter, not harder.
And if such a question comes up, then I am going to defer to that person's guardian, their parents. If you ask your mama what does gay mean, that's between you and her, or you and your dad. But it's not my job to introduce new things to you. I'm just living my Black gay life. And if they happen to interact with me, that is their thing. Same thing, even if my niece come and ask me what is gay, ask your mama, ask your daddy. Or I will ask their permission to have that conversation with her in a way, and go through what I'm gonna say before I just be like, hey, it's because, birds and the bees, or birds and the birds and bees and the bees.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope?
I take a different stance just because I fear that people will get the same experience that I got, right? And it's that in my household, I was asking the question because I was going to school and being called a sissy. And when I asked somebody what a sissy was, the explanation made sense to me. And so I started calling myself a sissy because that's who I was. The person that they had described was me.
I already shared
And so
my
when
story.
they say that,
Similar.
oh, usually it's a young boy who is, very girly and tends to like other boys. And this came from a teacher. This teacher didn't give me context to also say,
of it.
but also that's not a good thing to say that you are, because people will pick on you, or because this is a nuanced conversation, or even at that age, it would have got me in trouble. But she didn't
Mm.
explain it to me and then talk to my mom so that I knew not to go around school for the next 2 weeks saying, oh, I'm a sissy, I'm a sissy, I'm a sissy, because I didn't understand that. And
Mm.
so I think that, like, I think about how many other children are asking because they're seeing things that they feel like they identify with, but then they're getting people who are telling them like, oh, go ask your mama, and your mom becomes your first bully unintentionally because she don't realize why you're
Mm.
asking, or your grandpa or whoever your person is. You go back and you ask this person and you get a definition, and the first thing that you want to do is run away from that because now you see that there are negative implications with that, with the people that you love.
Mm.
I think that honestly, I would have had a different experience if I would have asked my mom first because her response would have been visceral. And so I think that I would have probably tried to do a better job of pretending or hiding or whatever. But by the
Mm.
time I felt, or by the time I understood how my mother felt about it, I was already comfortable. I was comfortable, like, with the picking. I was comfortable with the idea that I was going to have to fight a couple of people in the schoolyard. I didn't know why,
Mm-hmm.
for real, still. But I was comfortable with it because I was like, well, if I like boys, I like boys. I don't get why this is a big deal. And I don't think it was until like I was in the third or the fourth grade where a white woman who was
Mm.
my theater teacher sat me down and explained to me.
The white
And
gay
she was just
agenda.
like, babe,
It got her.
you are different. And there are going to be people that don't like you because you are different in that
Mm-hmm.
way. And so, if you're going to wear tutus, let's say in this classroom, this is going to be your safe space. Whoever you
Mm.
want to be in this classroom, if you want to be Tinkerbell, you can be Tinkerbell. If you want to be Tarzan, you can be Tarzan, but only in this classroom because I want to keep you safe. And that was the first time that I learned to suppress parts of myself in order to avoid the world. And so I think like if a kid came to me,
Mm.
I think I would have to play it by ear as to why I might be getting asked this question. Because if this is a kid that appears to be like a cis kid that just wants to understand it, I think I lean towards Jay. Like, absolutely. Oh, maybe you should ask your parents, right? But I think if I'm talking to a child who is obviously queer and trying to figure it out because they're getting picked on and they want to know why, I think that I think I would take the opportunity to like both educate about what it is, but then also let them know how the world is
Yeah,
gonna work.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Mm. And if you look at some of these laws that are being drafted, anti-queer laws, they're trying to prevent that from happening. As much as they say they protect the children, we understand at this point that you want to protect heterosexual children because if children are queer, you want to be able to stop it at the quote unquote root, which is them being young. So that they don't grow up as adults and we have to deal with these woke ass adults. Oh my god, they're ruining everything. Like this, you can't make this up. And this is somebody right here, Hope Giselle, who literally is sharing her lived experience. Now, if you don't believe her, you have to then prove her wrong. And if you're a Christian, it should be easy. You should be able to use the spirit of discernment to be able to call out what the hell she was wearing, what she ate that damn morning. You better get into the prophetic spirit. So let's see how many of y'all are really tapped in and tuned in and turned up in the Lord.
I think it depends. The distinction for me is what you're talking about, because I agree with you, is proximity. Like
Mhm.
if I'm proximal to this kid to where I have some understanding of who they are and what they may be dealing with, then yeah, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. But if I'm in Walmart
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The fuck not.
and because my niece does this all the time, she'll talk to everybody, ask all
Hmm.
kind of questions. And if
Mhm.
it's just talking to random person, then then that's when I'm like, oh, talk to your mama, because I ain't gonna have a whole gender studies class or a human sexuality discussion
I realize
in
that's
aisle
where
19 at the
privilege come in,
Walmart.
I think. I feel like that's where my privilege come in, and that's why I feel like me being positioned how I'm positioned, knowing what I'm knowing, where I think that most times I would not give a fuck about that, but I recognize that I don't have as much skin in the game, literally, in terms of explaining this to a child and them being like, hey, consciously or George Lee told me this. You know what I'm saying? I know that it's gonna be different. Now, them saying Hope said this or Jay said this, and you know what I'm saying, like shit, y'all are not of the norm, sexuality, or gender. They're gonna come at you know what I'm saying. So I feel like that's to me in my mind, that's what it means to be like an ally and accomplice, to be able to like put myself in situations and or be willing to go a little step further. That I know that it's gonna bring some animosity or some alienation, but shit, it's like be
But
mad.
you out here now, bro. But
I'm
you know
sorry.
The same way white people put their lives on the line for slaves during the slavery times. Oh, why you bringing it up? Why are you bringing that up? Because I'm black. That's why I'm bringing it up. You ain't talking to a Becky or an Aaron. Shout out to Aaron, but you ain't talking to an Aaron or an Adam, shall I say, excuse me. You're not talking to an Adam. Okay?
interesting thing is I had a similar experience to what Hope described, but it wasn't being called a sissy, it was being called a nigger. And it was the white people that lived across the street. And the little boy called me that. I was like, what is that? And I'm 6, he's 6. He told me, oh, this is what it is. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
That sounds like me.
Yeah.
So I'm a nigger. And 3 weeks, I'm going through world just thinking, oh, I'm a nigger. And then I told my dad, my African daddy, who I swear to God, he almost went to jail. Allegedly. He almost went to jail, allegedly. But, you know, that was 35 years ago. So it's just proximity when it comes to titles and labels is important to deal to be mindful of when you talking to children. And now, granted enough, because mine dealt with just blackness, I had an ally in my father. But you know, years later, when it's dealing with sexuality, I didn't have so many allies to the same degree.
Man.
And then my experience was very much like Hope, where I did have a band teacher who was like, let me come on in and bring your saxophone with you because I got to tell you stuff about the world.
Hey, well, based off what you just said, it's like it segs right into another question that I have, you know what I'm saying, from people in my audience and things like that, especially would have been the election year and a lot of people being bamboozled and hoodwinked into being in cahoots with KKK toting white supremacists in name of keeping the gays out of the classroom and shit like that. So here's my question, man. Some people in my audience think that the LGBT community has more power than the black community. Do y'all agree or disagree? And feel free to give nuance to the answer. I know how
I'm black. I'm black. Like
I'm thinking like I'm answering
like, bitch, I'm black. Like, I hate the fact that I have to like explain this to people.
Thank
like,
you,
does my
Lord.
skin color change when I say, "Oh, hi, I'm a trans person," or am I still a black bitch walking out here? Like, I think that that's the part that black people who have an issue or who like have this like bullshit understanding. That's what works my pussy with y'all, because it just makes me go like, do you think that somehow racism stops because I'm queer? If you don't like queer people and white people, some of them don't like black people or anything that's off, what makes you think that I'm gonna go over there and escape racism just because I'm queer? I think that there's a lot of misinformation about the ways in which we get to navigate the world once we find queerness. White people are not running to pick up black queer children and make them a part of the agenda because they would rather keep any piece of that looking like them. They know how to like galvanize, and they know how to work with, and they know how to find resource for queers that look like them. That is why you will still find white queer people that are gay as Christmas and racist as fuck. That are fucking and sucking on boys and doing all of the things on Grindr with black men.
They gay
but racist as fuck.
White supremacists. They just like that thing.
They did say
black men, but they don't like
black men. They did say the grinder damn near shut down RNC time.
during the RNC. But okay, so there's a thing that I want to like make sure that is known. Because
Yes.
Melvin Johnson, like, I'm not coming for you, but I'm gonna speak with passion. So Melvin Johnson, let me say this. You cannot hide your sexuality all the time. And you admitted earlier in the chat.
Now, this is going to be towards the people in the queer community, in particular, gay men who are more masculine or masculine presenting, who also have an issue with feminine energy coming from men. Especially, unfortunately, if you're a queer man who is also of darker complexion or hue. So listen to how Hope Giselle answered this question. And the reason why she also has heat and passion is because in a lot of her commentary and a lot of her advocacy, it has not just been for people who are heterosexual, who are ignorant about queer people, that even gay men also have privilege in the queer community that they try to utilize and gatekeep over the feminine aspect or even trans women. So listen to her answer.
That you are a masculine affirming gay man. Great for you. Love it. Cookies all around. There are certain people that from the time they are born, you can tell that their child got sugar in their tank and there's nothing that they can do about
That's
it.
the truth.
And there's nothing that they can do about it. And this is before children know anything about sexuality,
Or
fucking,
gender.
humping, gender. They haven't even had their first hard on yet. And you like, oh baby, I
You're
see
gay.
that already.
Yeah, definitely. You a
You're
little
gay.
definitely. Like, I know.
I was one of those.
I think, I think that we need to be very mindful about saying things like, oh, I'm black first because, oh, I could hide this or I could turn this off or I could whatever. Cool. But even if we take it a step further, what about non-passable trans girls? What about non-passable trans men? What about non-binary people who fit the aesthetic of like doing things in a way that lets
androgynous
people
as hell.
know that
Like,
they're
yeah, definitely.
androgynous, right?
Yeah.
What about those people? My sexuality, right? Sexuality and mannerisms are two different things, but those things are still things that people cannot control or hide.
Right.
You can tell a person to tone something down. Who they are is who they are is who they are. There's 1,001 parents right now to this day throwing their gay ass son in somebody's little league football team, and he is trying his damnedest, and he still looks like the softest powder puff running down that field because that is who he is. And I think
Twinkle
that
fart.
we need to also like be really mindful of the fact that like we always want to throw the monkey wrench in or move the goalpost because we don't want to acknowledge that people are just fucking horrible and mean to queer people, especially when they can see queerness in them or perceived queerness, because sometimes a man is just metrosexual, sometimes a man is just feminine, sometimes a man just likes to keep himself up.
Right there too. That's the point I'm about to go to. Is like I agree. You feel me, Melvin? There is a difference between sexuality and mannerisms. What I do know is that everything we talking about though is sexualized. So there are particular mannerisms that if you went into a black barbershop and did, you ain't gotta throw no dick, you ain't gotta suck no dick, you ain't gotta be talking about nothing gay, but you did a particular mannerism or you said a word in a particular way. And the way,
and not even just saying anything. Let's not forget what was mentioned earlier. The individual who is gay with the Dear Black Gay Men hat on, he ain't had to say shit. He just walked in the building, and because people automatically were able to read him, he let people know who they were up front because everybody want to know who you is up front. There goes all that stuff. So again, it's queerphobic because I don't even have to open my mouth. Just my energy alone will have individuals feel some type of way, especially if they have an inkling or it's discovered that you are queer.
you said that was sexualized. That sexualization of that word, that dress, that mannerism you did, that did proceed, you feel me, in different instances. What we talking about? Think about it. If you're in a black barbershop and we're in black spaces and you faced with homophobia, being black first does not make you immune to that homophobic violence or that violence that's centered around a perceived notion of your sexuality.
If anything, it makes you even more of a greater shame because you already got a strike against you because you black. Why would you make a choice? People say choices. To add another strike on you. I've shared again on my channel how I've had women hit on me and was talking about all type of shit they want done to them and stuff. But as soon as I say I'm gay, at least in my experiences, I was met with Bible verses. Girl, you wasn't thinking about the Bible back then. You was thinking about God, but not in the context of what you was trying to do now. The hell? Okay, what's going on now?
And I think that we have to be very careful. For me, just being a warrior of intersectionality, how we think about different identity sets coming before the other one. You know what I'm saying? I know as a black man, I know there's certain men that say they're a man for their black, and there's certain men that say they black for their man. What I know is that I'm always already met with both of those at the forefront.
At the same time.
I know that when a white woman clutches her purse, she clutching her purse because I'm a black man. She fears my black masculinity. Not the masculinity, not the blackness, together the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Even this. When people see me on social media and I'm talking about white supremacy in one post, you thought, man, look at that smart as hell, I'm gonna give him a follow. And then next post, I said, black trans women have this, that, and the other. They didn't give a damn about the black first. As a matter of fact, when I get that unfollow button, the same how you follow me, I'll forefront the blackness. That did not care. That didn't lend to humanity. That didn't lend to rationale. It was like, we got one of these niggas again. I liked him. He was talking about racism, but that gay shit, I can't do it. I think that's the dangerous part. And when we talk about it, and then take it like this, from a cisgender standpoint, black women, and a black woman was the person, you feel me, a cisgender black woman who made intersectionality. She gonna tell you a black woman being forced to think about whether they woman first or black first is very, very dangerous because they always already being persecuted, marginalized, excluded for being a black woman. Not just a woman, not just black, but when you put those two things together, I think that's a very dangerous notion. You feel me? To be like, shit, I'm black first. It's like, in what context? You know what I'm saying? Because Dr. Umar probably will be like, you gay at? You know what I'm saying? Like that'll be a different thing. You feel me?
So
Dr. Umar can't say shit until that building has an official ribbon cutting. Nigga, he over here living in dirty ass trap houses, fucking on women, trying to get money from them. This nigga wanted to be Marcus Garvey, ended up being Tyrese from Baby Boy. Make it make sense. The out of shape version of that.
A sprinkle of a couple.
Who are these niggas?
Because at one point in my evolution as a black gay person, black gay man, I did say I was black first.
I get it. It makes sense.
But what I had to learn for myself,
I'm black and queer at the same
that being able to say that
time
and being able to believe it,
ain't no separating, baby.
Is privilege, because there are many people, like to Hope's point, that don't have the choice of being one or the other. I have the privilege of appearing straight, maybe until I open my mouth, but appearing straight until I put on
and not wearing what you got on,
have the painted nails or whatever. And that privilege that I have over feminine presenting men, over trans people of certain identities and certain expressions, over several others, is something that I have to be mindful of as I go into spaces. And more importantly, that I can't be the agent of exacerbating a this versus that. That doesn't help anybody by me saying that femininity is a learned behavior, that masculinity is a learned behavior. All these things exist for all of us at the same time. And my job as someone who may have some piece of masculine privilege, because I do, is to use that privilege to disrupt my privilege. Like, I need to be able to hold up and create space for and allow others to walk through the same doors so that privilege is not a thing one day down the line, wherever.
So kind of like DEI and diversity that even some niggas are trying to destroy, girl. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised. If I'm not mistaken, one of the black judges on the Supreme Court, didn't he go through college and get all his stuff off of a damn DEI opportunity, if I'm not mistaken? And then turned around and destroyed the damn bridge. You talking about a nigga that is a crab in the barrel. At this point, for those crabs that want to pull the other crabs down, take them to Crab Shack and give them to Kimber Rail, because at least they will be of some use to satiate her hunger. I think she's the reason why world hunger even started.
But for you, Melvin, in the chat, I would say that yes, you might be black first, which I can respect, but that ain't the case for everybody. And most importantly, how are you using your black firstness to make sure that people who may not identify the way you do have the same space, the same capacity and culture? That would be my question to you.
And just before I back though another question, the reason why also when we say being black first, you feel me, becomes dangerous. What I know is somebody that come from a Pan-African background.
How about human first? How about that?
That come from
That'll
an
work.
Afro-pessimist
Human first.
framework. A
That'll
lot
work.
of times when people that are non-normative, where it may be your sexuality, your gender, your ability, talk about being black first, a motherfucker will tell you, hey, you black first. All that other shit no longer matters. Or you talking about and emphasizing those other identities, now they feel like taking your blackness to a back seat. So now how can we be in community and talk about strategies and methods and fight white supremacy when I'm telling you we got a forefront being black first? And you and I know that the way you as a black gay masculine man and the way that me as a straight masculine man deal with white supremacy is two different ways. Don't get me wrong, white supremacy both on our ass. But we know that the way in which white supremacy is going to be deployed at us, the way in which we're going to be excluded, it's going to be a little unique. Especially when I recognize how particular masculine our performances are always already seen as being threatful and how some aren't. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would say. You feel me?
Could I respond to that last
That'll
one?
work.
I don't want no, granted, some of the live streams, I don't want Melvin to suck up the whole conversation. But I do
No. We'll keep the conversation going.
I do just want to put
Melvin is pushing the conversation forward, though. I appreciate you, Melvin. We're not picking on you. I really appreciate the contribution you've made to the dialogue.
But I do want to just notice that the idea, Melvin, that you said, you tell me when people see you, don't notice your skin tone. It's not that they don't notice my skin tone. It is that there several things can be noticed at the same time. And in my case, because of how I express, people I would imagine, because I've never been another person looking at me, but I would imagine people are able to pick up on the fact that I'm black. They pick up on the fact that I'm a man. And in my case, they also pick up on the fact that I'm gay. And I may have a little sugar in my tank. All of those things happen at the same time when I walk into a room. Now, because you are masculine identified or masculine expressing, you might think people only pick up on your blackness and manness and masculinity first, because your gayness is buried or not as salient as it is for other people. But that in itself, friend, is the privilege. You get to be masculine.
That would be dope if I was. That would be a dope ass live. I would enjoy that live.
That is the privilege. And I'm just saying that does not apply to everybody the way that you make it seem like it does in these comments.
But my thing is, he know that. Right, like, and I have a very low tolerance for grown ass people who want to act like they don't know something. Like, you know that, and you know that because as a masculine gay man who is talking the way that you're talking in these comments, I could only assume, right, that you've been a part of either private or public conversations with feminine gay men. And you're probably one of those people on Grindr that's like, no fast, no femmes. You're probably one of those people that actively moves away from the gay men that would be identified as gay because, you know, you don't want to be associated with that, right? And I'm saying these things with the understanding that I don't know you from a can of paint. You could be the nicest guy with all of the sissy friends in the world, right? But based off of the way that you're talking, and based off of how I know a lot of masculine men to talk, and I actually am gonna pull this back through full 360 to your first comment. It's not that people don't like you because you are masculine. A lot of the queers don't like you because y'all pull this shit. Oh, we ain't got representation, we ain't got this, we ain't got that, because y'all faggots out here taking up all the space, and that's what they think gay look like. Cool. So show them what gay look like. Oh, nah, I don't want to be in my business though. Like, I ain't trying to be So how the fuck they supposed to know you exist if you don't want them to know that you exist? Like, make it make sense. And so then what y'all do is y'all turn around and y'all say things like, oh, people don't like me. People don't like the fact that I'm masculine because everybody want a sissy friend. And it's like, no, people don't like masculine men that go out of their way to make everybody else within the queer community feel like we're the pariahs that make it hard for you to exist while being gay. When if it wasn't for the flamboyant sissy punk friend that's running around the street in a rainbow romper, you and your husband can't get secretly married or publicly married because nobody got the rights done. If all y'all are doing is trolling each other at Piedmont Park at 12 a.m. and having relationships for 20 years that never go anywhere, but everybody know that y'all together, but nobody knows that y'all together, then you have no rights, you have no space, you have no room to be and live and thrive and all of the things. But then y'all get upset at the people who do those things because you feel like you should be seen. Okay, so be seen. Go be seen then. But if you don't want to be seen, if you don't like the representation, if you don't like, you know what I'm saying? But also, what I want to say is that I already named that I don't know you from a can of paint, Melvin. So when the hit dog starts hollering, be mindful that I didn't say that that's who you were. I verbosely said I don't know you. You can have 1,000 sissy friends, but when things hit you, you feel like a person is in your room and you wondering where the hidden camera is. But I know 1,001 men like you. This
Hey,
conversation is not new for me, and I'm not willing to sugarcoat it.
Ooh. Deshaun said Hope is tearing that gay guy up, but respectfully. Not the gay dude. Oh, well, he did a dude in the comment, but no shade. That's why I'm really objective. Because like I said, again, shout out to Boston, man. I'm going to keep calling out the objective men. Always. I don't care what nobody else how they gayify it. That's their own twisted homoerotic fantasy. I'm talking to the men that are secure. Okay? We need more of that as well as queer men because we don't know everything about queerness. I appreciate Hope. I'm so thankful that Hope is living her life and expressing her story and the way that she even narrates things. I appreciate that. We need more of that accountability. Boss man said, check yourself before you check anybody else. Make sure you good first. So the fact that Hope was able to check gay men, it makes me want to learn better and be like, what can I do to learn if there's anything that's in me that is transphobic? I don't even really say anything transphobic, like even a joking manner, because I understand, unfortunately, what a lot of trans women, especially trans women of color, have been through. I knew two. I know one that's still alive, thank God, and then I knew one who unfortunately was murdered. So I'm going to do the best I can to be my sister's keeper and to protect them. And no shade. I'm kind of like how Hope is. I'm tired of sugarcoating shit. That's why I appreciate, even if it's queerphobic, I appreciate the raw queerphobia, though. I appreciate it when you ain't wearing no mask. Just show me who you are. Show me. Walk in it. Stop trying to be politically correct. If you really walking in truth, stop being scared. But also accept what comes with it, because we as queer people walking in our truth, we have to accept whatever comes with that. And there may even be our lives being threatened or worse. The gag is a lot of us been through that and survived it and wish a monk would today. Yeah, y'all can continue with all type of cycles of racism, cycles of queerphobia, transphobia. That's fine. But in the words of a drag queen by the name of Tyler Perry Girl, allegedly, peace be still. Peace, what she say? Peace be still, peace. Some was still, girl. Peace is made of steel, girl. Bow, bow, bow. That's all that matters. Bow, bow, bow. There are some of us who are not going to go back to depression, go back to sadness. Oh, sadness is a part of life. Yes, we all have trials and tribulations that are promised to us to help us in our lives that have already been predestined for us before we even got here. All this other extra drama stuff, not everybody wants to do that. And there are some people who will defend themselves by any means, and I'm one of them. I'm already a leprechaun. I don't have time to be playing games, baby. You mess with me, girl. If you survive the encounter, you will be triggered. You will have PTSD for the rest of your days. You can't even go into Toys R Us. You won't be able to go anywhere where there are toddlers because I'm built like a toddler. You're going to be traumatized. You're not going to be able to watch The Incredibles with Jack Jack. When he become 10 different people at one time, y'all going to be traumatized, screaming in the damn theater. Clock it, Hope. Sounds like some self-loathing to me, or internalized homophobia, if you will. And hit dogs will holler. Bow wow wow.
As a residential
Yippee
straight,
yo, yippee yay.
I think that y'all have brought me into a consciousness, goddamn, insight that I never thought about. And I think that for the straight people watching, I think this is why the unlikely throuple is a good dialogue for us to have, because a lot of times we only think about gay men as being flamboyant and feminine, and like Melvin is in the conversation, and like Hope is talking about, that masculine gay men do exist. You know what I'm saying? There are a lot of men that are gay that you wouldn't know that's gay, you feel me, based off looking at them, because they don't perform that way. They perform very masculine performance. With that being said, I feel like we should explode the way we understand what it means to be gay, especially when we think about the mannerisms. Because shit, you how they would say, you might miss some shit you can clock if you're looking at the wrong time. Goddamn it!
Come on now,
you're gonna miss some shit. You know what I'm saying? But this
but hold on right there, because that's the funniest part about being gay, especially around straight people. Right. When I'm at the family reunion or the cookout, or my brother is straight, he and his wife, magnificent couple. But I walk in, I'll be like, oh, gay. And all the straight people would be like, I never would have. How do you know? Because I know, I have embraced myself enough to know when I'm looking in a mirror. I know something is not what y'all think it is. And y'all are so oblivious to shit because you're over here trying not to be zesty, instead of it actually being able to see what's staring you in the face and talking to you.
Hello.
And it always baffles me how oblivious straight people are to actual gayness. Instead, they want to focus on all this other nonsense bull.
Actual. Girl. Hell said, what does Craig Stewart say? A rose can smell a rose. Or how Luther said, a chair is still a chair, even when there's no fupas hanging over it.
Shit that has no bearing on who a person is.
Wait, pause, because I love that, but I always forget this point whenever I'm in conversation, and I'm happy that you said it this way. What I've also noticed is that, especially within Black community, straight people will have the most motherfucking empathy for a bitch who ain't even real. Y'all sat back and y'all watched Pose, and y'all motherfucker was madder than a bitch about Candy getting killed on Pose. Y'all was like, what? I'm talking about the men, the women, the motherfuckers that go to church on Sunday and say that's not coming in my house. Y'all were pissed. Y'all was on the Twitter like, how dare they? Da, 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 da. Y'all had all of this smoke for Ryan Murphy killing off Candy. But it's a trans girl up the street that was getting mocked on her way to the bus stop, and you said nothing. There's a girl that you go to school with that get her ass bopped every day on the way into school. And y'all have more affinity and empathy for characters and people who are not real than y'all do for the people that y'all walk past every single day. And you think that we don't notice that your activism and your, ooh, I think I get it now, stops when the episode does. And that's why conversations like these are important.
For sure. And the reason why they stop is because, again, queer people, we have always been the entertainment. But the gag is, so has niggas have always been entertainment. So again, as much as y'all want to be separate, we're really all in this together. We're really in this together. It's easier for a lot of them to have empathy for the character because it's a character in a show and I get to talk about it all instead of learning from it. Instead of educating yourself, instead of actually doing your research and saying, well, since I've watched Pose, let me go watch Paris is Burning, the documentary. Let me actually go on YouTube and go to Ballroom Throwbacks. There are countless other ballroom channels that are on YouTube. Hell, you can find out, let me go to a ball and see for myself what it's giving. But see, it's easier to do it at home because first of all, it's behind closed doors. And secondly, all I really have to invest is my attention to a show that's only 1 fucking hour. But like you said, when it's the trans woman up the street who is screaming out help, 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 or the video we've seen before where there was a man and a woman fighting in the street and the men are running up to trying to help the woman, but then the woman was discovered to be a trans woman and they literally walked away and allowed the beating to commence. And the gag is, we ain't even got to talk about trans women being protected. We can talk about women in general. Because we've heard certain niggas on certain platforms sit up there and say, well, I'm not protecting no woman who's a hoe. I ain't protecting no, but she's still a woman. She's still a female. And especially if she is receiving some sort of physical altercation or situation that's not warranted, that she didn't start. Remember when the whole Freaknik documentary came out and we all sat down and watched the Freaknik documentary that was on MTV True Life, and how there was a girl there that was scantily dressed and she wasn't doing much, and all these niggas start running up to her and was literally ripping her clothes off in public, trying to see her nude, and there were men around who didn't do any damn thing. Ain't nobody look at her and think of their sister, think of their mother, and the ones that did, they ain't do shit. So again, when it's entertainment, when you can laugh at it and cry and get your emotions out because it's, oh my God, such a good story. To Hope's point, y'all just care all the way up until it's time for the episode to come off. But then want to sit up here and you'll sit there and watch Pose and cry, oh my God, this is so beautiful. But then teach your child to be queerphobic and afraid that the people trying to make your children trans or make your child gay.
Now, I'll take that one step further, Hope, because that is not just the burden of straight people watching Pose. That's the burden of all the people watching Pose. Because I know many black gay men
that part, come
who
on,
looked at Candy dying
come on, blind
on
spots,
Pose,
come on, awareness,
or identify with Electra and her amazing reads, or all of the things, but do nothing for trans people, and we're supposedly in the same culture. So it's not just straight people, because we have this black camaraderie, but it's also LGBT people, LGBTQ plus people who are not activating for our partners. The same thing happens with bi erasure and people
CashApp,
not acknowledging that the plight and the difficulty of being a trans person in this country or on this planet. Like, all these things happen where you could do more, but a lot of times we don't, because I would much rather watch Maya Murphy's latest show on TV as opposed to activate for the girl that actually lives next door to me.
Right.
Or the actual individuals that are in those trans women spots on the show, whose stories are scarily similar, to where she can watch Pose and get triggered because it reminds her of her own lived experiences. But I guess it has to be you in order for you to understand, which is why I said, again, everybody about to know what it feels like to be a nigga. Everybody about to know what it feels like to be a fag. Everybody about to know what it feels like to be discriminated against. Doesn't feel good, does it? Well, then we have some choices here. And I think we need to explore these choices with context and nuance so we can actually make sure that the generations of tomorrow can actually get over the hump, instead of hoping that the next generation will get it. How about you allow them to get it? And how about you actually walk by faith that you claim that you do?
Or man, because trans men also face certain discriminations and whatnot. So it's just, I don't want to make it seem like straight people got this undue burden to bear. The girls got a whole bunch of activation that we could do ourselves, and I know that from being able to see it.
That
And
part.
that lead me to two things. First thing, a point. Second thing, gonna be a question. First point is this: the reason why also when we talk about being something first, being black first, being woman first, doing this first, it really make it where it becomes almost like obsolete or like it's inconsequential because it's like, hey, when we're talking about the black trans woman that's getting her ass jumped by a multitude of black men, is black first? How is black first operating in this instance? When the gay black men or a gay black man is jumped by 5 straight black men in the locker room, how does being black first make them immune or help them out in this situation? It doesn't. So we have to deal with what is, you know what I'm saying, putting them in there. And what we know is that from an intersectional standpoint, they probably in that same space because they black. But on the pause on that, it's like shit, them all being black, it's not stopping that gender sexual violence. Which brings me to the second thing. When I'm talking about trans humanity specifically to other cis straight people, they tend to sensationalize how within the LGBT community, a lot of motherfuckers don't respect transness and or acknowledge transness. So a question they posed to me, conscious, how the fuck we supposed to respect and accept trans women when in the gay community, in the LGBT community, they don't even accept them, they don't accept each other? What is your response to that?
And I want y'all black people to also look at it through the lens, because again, we black. The intersections, I mean, it's here. The more y'all resist, the more it's going to persist. That same thing can be asked in the realm of racism. Well, you niggas not helping yourselves. Y'all not cleaning up y'all communities. Y'all sit up here and allow your children to listen to trap music. You allow the trap music to manifest in your realities. When we drive past y'all neighborhoods, we tell our children, those people over there are dirty and nasty. Those are the ones that's stealing from mommy and daddy who are working very hard. They're the ones who are always complaining. To the point to, like I said before, and I'll say once again, I have somebody in my inner circle right now that lived in Guatemala, and when they came over to America, their Guatemalan grandmother told them to watch out for them niggas, girl. Not the Uncle Ruckus. Don't trust them niggas over there. It's happening before he even got there. So I want y'all to also listen to it in that context as well, because at the end of the day, yeah, the discriminations may be different and unique in their own ways as far as the expressions, but energetically at the core, it's discrimination. It's just racism is discrimination because of the color of your skin. Queerphobia is discrimination against sexuality and gender identity and expression. Two things that have been here since the beginning of time that has grown and evolved as well that people still deny. If God, source, universe, consciousness did not want this to be a part of this lived experience, trust me, it has no problem getting rid of something that it does not want in this lived experience.
I know what my response is, but I'm curious what your response is. Their response literally is like you acknowledging. There are lesbian, gay, bisexual people that are extremely textbook transphobic. They can't accept trans people. So how you fuck us to accept trans people? What is the response?
If your best friend jump off a bridge, you gonna jump behind him?
Yes, girl. Yes. These girls don't have a thought between them.
I can't, because my thing is these are just excuses to continue being what you were before, which is transmissive as fuck. Like, just say you don't like trans people. But you don't need to have an excuse.
And as a queer person, I'd rather you just say that. I would whatever little bit of a small little drop of ounce that I would have for people who are queerphobic, because they still gonna get the smoke. But at least I respect you for telling me up front. Just like you respect the fact that I told you that I'm queer up front, and whatever comes after that, I'm glad you saying that, so that we both equal in this situation. I'd rather y'all do that than again try to use children and religion and all these other things to shield how y'all really feel, girl. Because at the end of the day, the more that y'all keep lying, the more queer people are going to peel back the layers like an onion until we start getting the tears coming from the eyes and the truth comes out.
Excuse, you don't need to say.
And onions clear up your sinuses and everything. You breathe real good.
You don't need to have an excuse to be hateful. just be hateful, right? The problem is just like racist white folks, because you know that being racist is a problem, you don't want to be called racist. Because you know that being transmissic is an issue, you don't want to be called transmissic or transphobic for some of y'all, but I don't use that word because, like y'all say, I'm not scared of trans people, but you are hateful unfoundedly, and so you're missic of those people. And it's one of those things where I sit back and I ask myself, how many different ways are y'all going to continue to ask us how you can say fuck me to my face?
Got a pen, Ada? Yeah.
Because that's all I get from this question when people say that is, how do I say fuck you without you getting mad about me saying fuck you? So like if I pose it like this, right? Like, well, gay boys don't really like y'all neither. So if I say it like that, like,
so
is it
if
okay?
I don't like you, is it okay?
Hey, you know what
Right.
that takes me to my next question? My next question take me to is because it's like you really don't like trans people, and you figuring out the more diet nice way to be transmissive, to be oppressive, to be. When we start talking about trans people, specifically trans women in women's sports, I feel like it's usually the motherfucker that don't give a damn about women's sports. You ain't never watched women's sports. You probably can't even name me 5 women athletes, but you gonna figure out a way to sensationalize the participation around equity and around trans women shouldn't be in sports. It's like, hold on. You, what? I know as a trans woman, do I sound crazy feeling like motherfuckers really on you trying to weaponize women's sports to justify saying fuck trans women? That's how I feel. What do you say, trans woman?
If you didn't care about it before, then don't start caring about it now, and don't use women as a means to pretend like you give a fuck or as a means to pretend like you're less misogynistic. People will use that and say things like, "Oh, but like I have to protect women. Like we gotta protect women." You want to protect women? When that man called that lady a bitch in the motherfucking grocery store parking lot today, you should have said something.
No, because men gonna stand together and be like, oh, she a hoe. Even slow ass Charleston White ass sat there and said, yeah, well, what's the difference between a woman and a hoe? We don't respect hoes.
You want to protect women? When that young lady that you see getting sexually harassed at your job by the manager is continuously saying that she's uncomfortable and you do nothing, even though you're a man who has the power to say something, that's how you protect women.
I didn't want to go there, but this conversation has annoyed me the most ever since the quote unquote brick lady debacle happened, because so many individuals love to sensationalize how trans women are really just men and they have no issue, should have no reason to be in the same ring. So, they'll go find me some picture of some trans woman that beat the hell out of this, other woman but then they literally turned around and justified a grown-ass man hitting a woman with a bottle because they believe that she started it, and Houston Police Department said that she started it. So the whole tech women, trans women is really men fighting. They did not have that same energy when it was a cisgender man that identifies as a man. It really went. I was just really like, damn. So y'all say she lied. Let's say she lied. She lied, right? Does her lying justify being hit in the face with a bottle by a man? Or do y'all only talk about men hitting women when y'all can be transmissive and talk about women? And that's how I feel that shit. Like y'all showing yourselves right now, especially because y'all love to say a nigga pandering and I this, that, and the other, but you're making the same exact. So it's like, so if a trans woman have a bottle and they in a goddamn parking lot, then it's good. You said the dude was good. But that's just me. That's how I sound on that shit. Like y'all pick and choose when you want to be ethical outrage, and you pick and choose when you want to say gender matters, and you pick and choose. In Texas we have mutual. It's what it's called. You know what I'm saying? Shit, mutual combat. Mutual combat. You hit me, I hit your ass back. Mutual combat. Y'all don't think mutual combat is justifiable in any other instance, except when you want to justify a woman getting their ass beat. But you want to protect women.
But I think you're exposing a whole bunch of hypocrisies that exist in our culture. For like, we could say the same thing about how people are so pro-life when the baby is in the womb, but you don't want to protect the baby when it's out the womb. You don't want to protect the life of the woman that's carrying the baby. You don't want to protect all these things. And I think Hope is the one who said it's just weaponizing womanhood in a way that either justifies your fucked up thinking or that underpins your fucked up thinking with the lives of women. And neither of those are appropriate. But also back to your previous point about, how do we protect women, trans people of trans experience if the gays don't protect people of trans experience? The gotcha is, just like Hope said, you're looking for a way to say fuck me to my face without saying fuck me to my face, even though you are literally saying fuck me to my face. But nobody needs permission to be a good person. You do not need to be invited into affirming the humanity of a human being. And I think that's where we get all fucked up in the head. Like, I can evolve in the way that I acknowledge your humanity. The way that I do that can get better over time, but I don't need a personalized invite from a trans person to be like, oh, trans people are people, and I need to respect you like a person. And I think that just the idea that we've got in a place in our culture where I have to be invited or me respecting the agency and the humanity of human beings has to be an invitation or something that is not basic for everybody is signs of times. And the irony is there was a comment in there that said that you got your arms too short to fight God and all this other stuff.
Wait,
but gotcha, bro.
I was going there. Just give me a minute.
but bro, sir, ma'am, whomever you are, I don't remember the person's name. Regardless of whatever that is, these are human beings. And I am not in a position, nor you, to say how this human being shows up in the world. My job is not to judge that. My job is just to see you, affirm you, give you space to be you. And the idea that you want that such a judgmental statement came out of nowhere just baffles me. It hurts my head. I legitimately need a BC powder and an aspirin because of that one comment.
But those things typically happen when a person who they perceive to be less than, or a person who they perceive to have less to say as a human being is speaking truth to power. Then it's like, okay, I heard all of that, but fuck all of that because you're different. And it's them trying to wheel their way back into being like, I don't want to listen to this and like understand that this person is a human being. And they like, people like having excuses for their bigotry, and they like when it shows up in ways that allow them to just say whatever the fuck they want to say, hoping that other people are gonna bandwagon it. But what I also find interesting is that when y'all run out of when y'all run out of the talking points that we're able to like knock down, you know what y'all run to? That same God that y'all don't know if I believe in.
Ooh,
You don't know if I believe in your God.
Started on that though. I'm gonna start on that one.
But that's the thing. You don't know if I believe in your God. You don't know if I'm boxing with your God. You don't know if I'm a whole ass atheist out here in these streets. Like, you don't know anything about your God. Is not the only God that people can serve. And so I think that when you base things off of that, like, you already setting yourself up to fail, because you don't know if I'm Buddhist. You don't know if I'm a fucking Shaolin monk. You don't know, like, you know nothing about who I am and what I believe in or what my God says. Because there are plenty of cultures where they recognize a third gender. Have you ever heard of Hidra? In India, that's a legal standing gender, meaning that when I go to India, if I wanted to, because of the God that they serve and the God that they believe in, not only is that a recognized gender, but they believe that trans people have powers. And they believe that trans people are gods dropped on earth to be able to bless their folks. And these are the same people that we get a lot of goods and services and all of that stuff from. And India don't go through a lot of famine and death and all of that shit. It makes you wonder, which God should we be serving? The God that's protecting its people, and we don't hear a lot of shit about them going through
blasphemy.
Shaya. Oh, Mashanya. Oh, I feel a Shakani up in here. Oh, I feel a Shakani up in here.
is that people will sit back and say things like, oh, I don't have an issue with trans people. I don't have an issue with y'all. It's just that. So why would you call me an it or a thing? Have I done anything to you? Did I
You know
piss in
what
your
I done did
coffee
with
this
people?
morning?
I feel like I tell people like this all the time. Like, hey, I'm positive in the 1950s and 1960s, it was a whole bunch of white folks literally being like, I got no problem with the blacks. But do they have to be educated next to my children? I have no issue with the niggers. But do we have to swim in the same swimming pools as them? I have no issue with the Africans or with the people of African descent. But do we have to let them vote? I have no issue with the niggers. But do we have to watch them on TV and do we have to hear them on the radio? To me, it's the same disclaimer that says that power and privilege never ever wants to be, you feel me, deconstructed or never want to be in proximity with something that's supposed to be under them. And to me, it's just like a lot of the disclaimers I done heard black people say, I ain't got no issue with the gays, but they gotta say it on, we gotta see them on TV. I ain't got no issue with the gays, so we gotta hear them on the radio.
So flamboyant?
Like, I know a white person said, you got to be so flamboyant. I got no issue with the black. Do they gotta be so black? Like, what are we saying? What's going on here? But
what are we saying?
Let's kick gears a little bit. I got more questions, right?
Go ahead.
Questions I'm gonna save for when we live. Make sure you go to the link in the bio. Y'all to put the link in the comment section multiple times. I have a multitude of questions right here. You know what I'm saying? For the unlikely couple to be able to navigate and, you know, in the name of race, class, gender, ability, sexuality. And this time talking about gender and sexuality. I'm gonna go ahead and get some of I'm gonna play. Have the range to be able to get up in that like that right there and down right there. We've got done talking about children earlier, though, right? Some people would ask, why or should a gay black man and a trans black woman care about reproductive freedom if y'all can't have kids? Right now we in election time. A lot of conversations is happening about reproduction, about Roe v. Wade, about all this, that, and the other. I'm gonna do a follow-up question about the cisgender shit. You know what I'm saying? But my first question is to people that don't know or people that wondering, why would a gay black man or a trans black or trans woman, you feel trans black woman, care about reproduction and y'all can't reproduce?
Before I get there, let me say one thing, because I'm trying my hardest not to be triggered by some of these comments.
Sometimes you gotta let them.
I was gonna say you gotta let that go.
That shit go.
Okay. All right. Because I was about to.
Yeah, you gotta ignore them, man. Don't feed the trolls, Jay. Don't feed the trolls.
Yeah.
Don't feed the trolls.
That to set a couple records straight, like, I don't see myself as someone to have children. I love being an uncle. I love being a cousin. I have a cousin who just had triplets, so I love the space that I have in these children's lives. Right? If I don't have kids, I will not be upset about it. I do want to get married though, and if my partner wants to have children, my husband wants to have children, then I'll be happy as a father. But that's totally different. But the reason why non-birthing people should be mindful of the autonomy of birthing individuals, the agency, the humanity of birthing individuals, is the same reason why I should be concerned about the lives of trans
I'm about
people,
to eat. Sorry.
The same reason why I should be concerned about the lives of children that come into this world, because there should not be any right that is denied from one person that is granted to another. Nobody is going to tell me what I should do with my body as a non-birthing individual. I do not have a uterus. No one will ever tell me about my anatomy. The decisions that I make about my body, by and large, as far as the law is concerned, are between me and my doctor. And sometimes not even between me and my doctor. I can do a whole lot of things with my body. And if I am to enjoy that level of privilege, then I need to also protect people who do not enjoy that level of privilege. That is just being a person. And so if I can't, in good conscience, as a human being in the United States of America, contribute to any type of legislation, any type of movement that says rights that are afforded to me should not be afforded to everybody else. That regardless of the context. That's my stance on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm very clear at using the terminology birthing parents and non-birthing parents, because not every person with the uterus is a woman, and not every person with the penis is a man, and we
Nah,
need to
and
be
all
very,
of it, because you
be
got a
very
uterus
mindful of that.
penis, don't mean you can birth. Goddamn, so that's why we got IVF and a whole bunch of
Right.
shit going on around here.
And so we gotta be mindful about language, but also everybody should get every right. Now there are certain rights that nobody should get. Like you shouldn't be able to kill people. But I believe that you shouldn't. No, none of us should be able to kill people. But that's a totally different topic. But as far as when it comes to bodily autonomy, we all should be able to just be ourselves between us and our doctor, and not have to worry about anybody else getting involved in it. That's my perspective.
Okay.
I think I care because the second that they take something away from one person, it's a stepping stone or a tool that's used to then deconstruct something for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think that it's even more sinister for me as a trans woman who oftentimes is assumed to be cis to not say that I care about it because, oh, I can't have children, like the natural way. And so I don't care. Because what happens is when I go to the doctor, the assumption is that I can. When I'm having conversation in the nail salon, the assumption is that I can. And if I'm going out of my way to say these things and people don't know that tidbit about me, but I'm adding to this level of, oh, like, well, they don't care, so we shouldn't care. And that's how we vote. And I think that it does me a disservice at that point to add to the domino effect that's already taken place. There are already enough cisgender men. There are already enough like women who don't want to have kids, even though they have the capability. There's enough of those people that are doing that work for me. But as a person who does and who will eventually be a mom, it's important to me to make sure that before I start thinking about it, before me and my husband start to contemplate it, that the systems that are set up for us to win are still comparable for us when it's our time. You can't start caring about the issue only when it works for you. You can't start caring about the topics that be only when they're going to affect you. If there's something that a majority of people who are going through it right now in this moment are telling you is important, I think that it's best that we always do our research to figure out why it's important so that we align ourselves with things that fit our morality, right?
Research.
But beyond that, I don't think that it's not my job to then turn around and say, okay, well, I'm gonna wait till it matters to me and then I'm gonna advocate. That just doesn't seem fair, especially if I'm holding the space.
It's a bad model.
What I just learned when you said that, Hope? What I just realized is that's another way my privilege creeps up, because I am a man, right? I'm a Black gay man. And so I don't even think I have to worry. It never even dawned on me that it's a domino effect, because I would say that you are much more marginalized as a Black trans pan woman. And so you thinking about, taking the rights away from one group, because there are many aspects of your life where rights have been taken away in general. I ain't never dealt with that aside from the Black part. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting that you just opened my eyes to that just now, because I never thought of it as a domino effect, because that aspect of it has been lost on me until just now. That's so interesting.
Hey,
I appreciate that.
And Brandon Williams, brother, man, listen, man. Right now, I'm giving you privilege and access to be a part of this virtual classroom. But right now, you acting like a little ass boy. You feel me? You acting like you in elementary school and you want some attention. So I think that if you want to be an attention whore, consciously comment section is not for you at all. So it's like right now, this your warning. You feel me? I'm giving you a warning and letting you know you should tread very lightly in how you comment next, because right now you're about to get your privileges revoked, because right now you acting like a child. You see what I'm saying? You acting like a child, and you acting like you got some issues that you to deal with because you too worried about other people's booties. You too worried about what you too worried about. You feel me? So Brandon, tread lightly, because I can tell you like being a part of this conversation. That's the reason why you comment so much. I'm not gonna feed the trolls at all. I'm gonna keep the conversation going, but just know, you say some wrong shit in my comment section, your privilege is gonna be revoked from this virtual classroom, my brother. Education is elevation. I might not be the educator for you. You know what I'm saying? But it's keeping just keeping it.
Well, again, shout out to heterosexual Black men that also check other heterosexual Black.
Going though, right now we're talking about children.
Shout out to y'all.
You know what I'm saying? Talking about children, talking about reproduction. I'm curious, man. This is a very controversial question. I want to preface that. Very controversial question. I have gotten into heat arguments with different people about this question specifically. So I'm opposed to y'all, but I know it might cause a visual response. some people in my audience think that if trans, bisexual, intersex, gay people adopt, it'll confuse kids. Do y'all want to adopt? And what is y'all response to this criticism?
That's not my first go. We're likely gonna do IVF first, but I think that that's bullshit. We've seen, and the numbers actually support that the children that are adopted by queer families are often kept longer and have healthier, longer lives within a one-family household versus folks that are bounced around, within cisgender relationships or cisgender homes. They tend to, go throughout the system as with foster care people. And I think that that's really interesting that, like, to me, it's just really interesting how people always want to say like, oh, kids will be confused. Kids are some of the easiest people to give the, if you talk to a kid straight, they're just like, oh, okay, cool. It's when you're trying to justify some shit and you're talking in circles that they don't understand something. If a kid asks you what a trans person is, just tell them what the fuck a trans person is. All of this, oh, like, I mean, because like, well, when a boy wanna da-da, and then you gotta, like, if you talk to a kid straight, then you like all you got to do is tell them like, hey, this is a person who did not feel comfortable. You know how you feel comfortable wearing your pigtails and your dresses and your shoes? This person didn't feel that way, but they do feel comfortable wearing, stuff like what your daddy wears. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they bounce on to go and do whatever the fuck they was doing before, right? And so I don't think that it's confusing if we're having conversations that take the nuance out while leading the innocence in. I can have a real conversation
That's
with
good.
a 5-year-old.
That was
right?
so good.
That was a bar right there. I hope, we have to cut that clip right there. Cut that clip right there. Because me, when I get this right here, I be so annoyed. I automatically get graphic, especially if children ain't around. Because to me, it's like, hey, fam, hey, straight person to straight person, you're gonna really act obtuse to me. So who taught you that your thing should get hard when you see some titties or you see some ass? Was your mama or your daddy? Or did this experience happen occurrently? It happened naturally. Who taught you to have an erection? Or did you discover your erection by itself? Because to me, the idea that kids gonna be confused, to me, is a very immature idea of sex and sexuality. Because to me, it says that it's like, hey, don't get me wrong. If there's anything, people get pushed into the closet, not the other way around. But to me, it's still like, hey, man. So what you telling me is that you were taught how you should be turned on specifically, and when you get an erection or when your vagina get wet. What you telling me right now? When I get that, you should understand it again. I'm like, why ain't you trying to say that? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? That's how I see it. Like, what are you trying to say?
Nothing is, as a trans woman who has been in space with several different men who are like, Hope, if I did not know that you were trans, we could move something, but because I know I just can't get around the mental block in my head that would allow me to do what I need to do, we can't do that. That lets me know, like, people like what they like, right? Like, people like what they like, and they have an idea about how what they like is supposed to show up. And I think that same thing goes for kids. Kids don't know how or why or what or when. All they know is that they like what they like. And I think if we can acknowledge those things acknowledge those things for adults, then why can't we acknowledge those things for our kids and say like, okay, there you go. Like, and also, okay, why do we keep calling this thing confusion? Like, in life, you discover things about yourself. I think that there's a difference between being confused and self-discovery, right? I'm not confused when I tell my mama that I want to run track because I want to see if that's where I want to be at. I'm just trying something out. Like, this is not confusion. It makes sense. I am discovering whether or not I like track. And I think that if we took relationships and did the same thing, it's like, I am not, all of a sudden, skating down the bunny slopes. I've just realized that I want to decide if I like white women or if I like white men or whatever. And the same thing applies for like when you are a man. It's just like, I'm not saying the thing that's interesting in this.
I have to go give me another slice. I'm getting my big back fupa on.
If a man decides that he want to see if that's for him and he does that thing, is he now that thing because he sucked that dick, he gave that kiss, he held that hand?
Most folks say, most folks. I think that what I realize is that most people view sexuality as being so static, and I recognize that for me, it's like if you play the piano one time, Does it make you a pianist? No.
No,
If
I
you
think
goddamn learn how to, it's like, does it make you a musician? No. But if you suck a dick one time, you gay forever. It's like, you know what I mean? Now, do I
well,
want
yeah, I
to
think
suck a
people
dick?
think
No,
of
but I think
people
that
don't
people that
think
want to
of
do that is like, you know, like,
people
you know.
don't think of sexuality. I don't think people think of it as static. It's just it's a bell you can't unring. Like you can't put toothpaste back in the tube. That's what I think of it. Because for instance, when I was in at middle school and high school and I was kissing and doing all and playing high and go get it with the girls, I was straight, so people thought, even though I was not. And then when I said I was bisexual, I could never go back to being straight because I was bisexual now, even though I wasn't. I just said I was. And then I sucked a dick, and then I'm gay, and I can't never go back. And so I think people think of sexuality as like a one-way street as opposed to
For men.
Agreed
What?
for men, because I know a whole bunch of girls who played a little patty cake, and you know they straight and they're fetishized by a lot of straight men that are interested in because they are presumed bisexual or a freak or whatever they say about that.
But for all intents and purposes, a lot of those girls are lesbians and feel like because they have the option to have this normality. Like people talk about DL men, but they don't talk about DL women and how DL women are out here playing games in the streets too. Because
also, girl, can I just tell you, it's because straight men are dumb as hell.
But also
straight
to the monkey
men
not,
are,
but also
are
to the
okay being
wait.
taken
Can we pause? Because this has happened a couple of different times, and I need to be. I'm mad, and I don't give a fuck about looking like the angry mad person. I am not a trans. I am a trans woman. Trans people are not transgenders. We are trans women, trans men, trans people. Stop making us like these it's and
object.
Things.
A thing is like object.
I am a person. So when you refer to me, my name is Hope. Hope said, Hope did, Hope went, Hope X, Y, and Z. I am not a trans. And if you are going to refer to me by being trans, the trans girl, the trans person.
But also, if we said a black, if we was around some white folks and they said a black said, you would look at them like, what the fuck you say to me? Like,
you know the blacks.
So don't act whoever's saying this,
the blacks.
Don't act.
It's happened like multiple times, but like I'm just like, it annoys me because there's enough conversations out about this that people should know better than to be doing that. And that to me just makes me feel like folks don't mind being woefully disrespectful. Like I am not a fucking object. I am not a thing. I'm not sitting here as a talking speaker. I'm a human being who's living and breathing and moving through the world. Like I really like, to me, people be so pressed about fucking pronouns and they, them don't make sense. A transgender makes sense though? That's phonetically correct?
Education is
like we got to do better. We really got to do better with that.
This just hey, right now,
Hope Giselle.
She just tried to educate you on being able to read and write gender. And when you say a trans, you come off as being gender illiterate. That means you lack the ability to read and write transness and genderness superior, but it also show you a bad person. Like you are purposely denying the humanity of a person, or you purposely trying to fragment their shit by talking about a trans. Because you know damn well a white person referred to your ass as a black, you know what we getting at. So let's not do that. You know what I'm saying? Let's not don't be like that, y'all. I forgot the point we was even talking about, but like don't do that, y'all. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
You know, but I think that because in my head I'm thinking, is it derogatory if somebody referred to you, Lee, as a straight?
No, but yes and no, right? To me, it's like turning the gaze, right? To me, it's turning the gaze, Gaze. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, it's like, oh, white, you're being. Because to me, it's like power and domination always matters in context. And what I know is being referred to as a straight compared to somebody being referred to as a gay or a trans. It's not the same thing at all. It's like literally, there's not no violence being brought to my body. I'm not being denied no access to resources. A motherfucker being friendly with me. You know what I'm saying? The same thing as being like, oh, white. Me calling a white person, oh, white. Am I being derogatory? Yeah. But does it bring any bodily harm? No, did it hurt your feelings? Probably hurt your feelings. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it is not
I get that
thing to me. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's like a conversation about power and domination is one I tend to think that we like to gloss over. That's why my beef with a lot of the red pill, blue pill niggas. It's like, hey, you want to talk about gender with no context, with no idea, no extrapolation of power and domination. You want to think about gender being on a level playing field. We know when we're talking about sexual orientation or gender, we know that there is a paradigm of man over woman, straight over gay, cisgender over transgender. So what we know is that when somebody is seen as being powerless in a situation of being powerful in terms of power, it ain't the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But I do see what you're getting at. I ain't gonna act like
the reason I was asking is because I think, to Hope's point about willful ignorance, like people remain, and willfully so, remain illiterate and ignorant to certain topics because they've never. Now I won't even put it that way because it makes it like it's an excuse. But
my thing is,
they willfully ignorant. That's it.
Period.
What I don't like, because this is usually, and I'm assuming that she Dolly Jazzy is a cis woman, right? What I don't like about comments like that is that this is the stuff that creates the further divide between trans women and cis women. Because my thing is, you just had two cisgender men explain to you that it's not about me not wanting to be called trans. And I just gave you an example. In my example, I said, call me a trans woman. The trans woman just said something just now that I agreed or disagreed with, right? It's not about me running from being trans. It's about the ideation that when you remove humanity from the conversation, it allows people to believe that I am to be treated like things that have no humanity, meaning that violence is okay, meaning that discrimination is okay, meaning that my bodily autonomy means nothing to you. And so when y'all sit back and say things, and then also, what it shows me and what it lets me know and how it makes me feel is that when you are having conversations about me, you're not doing so as even another human being. You're doing so as this thing to be discussed that does not have the same rights or feelings or
literally.
Right, anything is you. And so when you push back and you say things like, "Oh, but like I don't mind when I'm called a straight black woman because that's what I am," but my thing is, it's not the same thing, because the connotation behind being called a straight black woman does not deny you space or autonomy. You calling me trans is basically like you being like, "Oh, that thing over there says something,"
like illegals. Or positives,
right?
Or all those
things. Like you're reducing all of her to just being a thing, a trans. It's like literally an object, a object. It's like in terms of grammar, when we start putting that a, you feel me, in front of the thing, it's like, yeah, you don't say a Bob or a Tom. You feel me? It's like we ain't talking about we talking about an object or a thing, and it's just like that's not good. That's not good, and especially that it's like the conversation. When our sister T.S. Madison was getting into it with our sister Jess Hilarious, and the conversation that happened in my comment section, I realized that we are so behind the 8-ball that it's ways for cisgender women that identify as the gender they was assigned at birth, it's ways for them to be tricked and bamboozled by the motherfuckers that's actually trying to attack their womb, actually attacking their ovaries, thinking that they not attacking them. The real attack is the trans women trying to call them cis. And it's just like, I was gonna pose this as a question, but it was something that made me so upset as somebody that advocates for women progression and trans women progression and just LGBTQ ally. It made me feel so nasty, icky, and made me feel defeated. I felt so vulnerable and so helpless that it was like, damn, here go two communities that I'm advocating for, that I'm not necessarily a part of, because I'm not a black woman, I'm not a part of the LGBT community, but it hurt my feelings, it hurt my heart to see the back and forth, and more specifically, it hurted my feelings to see so many cisgender black women really be like, hey, these bitches trying to call me cis, and how you bitches gonna feel something you ain't never experienced before? That's a question, you know what I'm saying? It's like, some people pose the question, is like, hey, Conscious, how can trans women say they feel like a woman if they never been a woman before? Or Conscious, how can a trans man say they feel like a man if they never been a man before? I guess like in this is my last fucked up question like this for the night, definitely. But like, what is your response? It's a fucked up question to me. It's like that's crazy. But it's just like, what is the response, man?
My thing is, none of us have ever been men or women or boys or girls at all. we all just out here trying to piece this shit together with Gorilla Glue. Like nobody has the
Not even
secret
Gorilla
sauce.
Glue.
Like, you know, like it's one of those things where it's just like, I know how I
Scotch
feel.
tape.
And based off of the social construction of what we've told ourselves women are, and the idea of what we've constructed women to be socially, that is what makes sense to me. In the same way that you might have a masculine affirming woman who transitions and says, I identify with this feeling, that I can sit in a room full of other men who say this is what it feels like. And as a woman who is masculine identified, may transition, I can represent, or I can understand that. And I think that when we have conversations, what's really interesting to me is that if it's something that is not innate, if it's something that's not inherent, how come I could sit in rooms with women and before I say I'm trans, we're having the same conversation. We're having the same experiences. We're talking about the same shit. There's very little conversations that I can have or that I can't have or that I have to excuse myself from when I'm out.
And when I be around my trans partners, my trans homeboys, my you know what I'm saying, my nigga eat, I got a partner. But like, I'm hanging with niggas like I don't like they men. You know what I'm saying? When I'm hanging with Kaden, I'm hanging with like these. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the conversations that we had. Kaden a gay man, that he a gay trans man. But like when we talking about men shit, there is no preclusion like, hey bro, you trans. You
I was about to go
like,
a totally different direction.
That don't happen. You know what I'm saying? That don't happen at all. as a straight man, if any nigga view EC, you feel me, or view Kaden as like you're gay. No, you're gay. You're gay.
How?
You're gay. Like, no,
well,
you're gay.
Hold on, because I am gay.
Yes. And I'm saying if you know, some people be transphobic and be like,
these are men that you're talking about.
These is gay men. These trans men.
I got it.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like these trans men. I'm saying these trans men. I'm saying that if another straight man got in front of me and said, these really women, these trans men, they gay. Like, you see these men and you see you're gay. And that's fine. I'm not saying that's not bad, but it's like, no.
But also I push back on that because I think that the adverse happens with trans women where you have a girl who is not as passable and then you call that man gay for being with that girl, right? And so I think that we have to be mindful of the idea that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And everybody has a certain level of femininity or masculinity that they desire in a partner. And that partner just may or may not, you know, identify with the moniker of man or woman. But when it comes down to it, we have to allow people to like what the fuck they like and mind our business. What you eat don't make me shit. The dick that you suck ain't gonna make me swallow. So we have to be very mindful that, like, if it don't apply, let it fly. Like,
what you worried about with other person going on like that, man?
I think
mind your business.
Like I agree with what both of y'all are saying. I think that when people have these very insecure notions about what is masculinity, what is a man, what is a woman, and whatnot, they are functioning from a space of feeling as if their version of it is diminished because this title is now available to this other person. Like, this woman is diminished because hope exists. But I think but clearly that's fucked up because, you know, like, just because I got painted fingernails does not make Lee any less of a man. And just because, you know, such and such woman is masculine identified doesn't make Hope any more of a woman. All of these things are abundant, but I do think that all of that is just wrought with patriarchy and old school ideologies that predate all of us, to where we feel like all of these things are finite resources and we gotta hoard them and we gotta have all the masculinity and all of the manliness and all of the womanness to ourselves, when really it doesn't matter. As both of y'all said, we just all niggas out here trying to piece this shit together with Gorilla Glue. And the second that we realize that is the actual human experience, is the second that you let go of the idea that anybody is any more or less of anything than anybody else. You just yourself, bro, or girl, or sis, or person. And as long as I can respect that,
then we ain't never gonna have no problems. The only time we have issue is when we stop respecting them because they're not expressing it or doing it the way I said they should. And that is never appropriate on any level for anybody.
Ever.
And I think that's just the bottom line is let niggas be niggas and we all be great.
Let kids be kids. Right. Like I think that what we have to be mindful
We all
of
need
is
Toys R Us or Chuck E. Cheese or wherever it was where a kid can be a kid.
But my thing is being kids includes being inquisitive. Being a kid includes being curious. If you are having children because you want a miniature version of you to get it right the second time, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Right.
You done
and a lot
everybody with that one.
No, because a lot of people
want to have children so you can live vicariously through them and rectify all your failures. No, you still breathing. As long as your ass breathing, you can still manifest and check stuff off your checklist. Let your child, which is another spirit, another soul coming into this experience, allow them to have that experience. Yes, you protect them, but you also learn to listen to them so that they can learn to value their experience and you affirm them validating their experience. Damn.
That's what y'all do.
I live vicariously.
And you can't do that. And that's why a lot of y'all are mad when your kids don't follow in your footsteps in the exact way because you were looking for somebody that was going to be you, but better. And when we talk about the idea of protecting kids from adult situations, and especially as it pertains to trans kids, let me be very clear with y'all. Stop allowing the right-wing media to make y'all believe that a kid says I'm trans today, and if they're a young boy transitioning to a young girl, that they don't have a dick tomorrow.
Thank you. I like this background music. I want to make a song off of this. Man, don't cut the dick off, man. Come on, man. Come on, dog. Don't let him cut it off, dog. Come on, dog. Actually educate yourself and you will see what the actual truth is. Stop being fucking lazy and do the work. Or in the words of Duran Bernard, what he said a long time ago before he when he was Alcohol Harmony. If you plant fuck you seeds, don't be shocked when you reap fuck you flowers. Fuck you.
That's not how that shit work, man. This goes out to you, Torrance Hatch and followers.
Because the truth is they may have a dick forever.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
And love that. And love that. But like also there is a space where we're allowed to entertain our children like at a safe distance. As parents, it is not dangerous for my kid to go out into the world with a dress on. It is dangerous for my kid to come into contact with people who have issues with the fact that my little boy might have a dress on. And so instead of changing the way that our kids have to see or perceive themselves as they're going through their curiosity phase, let's change the way that adults and other fucking people in the world are allowing for their children and themselves to become bullies to people who can't defend themselves. What do you look like as a grown-ass 45-year-old man upset about what another bitch is letting her kids do in Toys R Us? Pick up that motherfucking Transformer for your kid and get the fuck out. Like, why do you care?
Hold on real fast. As a parent, hold on real fast. I gotta say this as a parent, real fast. Letting the kids be kids also includes allowing for them to wallow in their own innocence, and you stop prescribing your own insecurities or your own dispositions onto the children. When we start, my daughter 8 years old.
From a parent, a heterosexual parent, a parent that like pussy like a lot of you niggas do. Okay? Listen to what he said.
We watching Proud Family Reloaded. Now, she probably already watched this episode when she was like 6 or 7 because the damn shit been out. It's an episode of a gay influencer that's a man, you feel me, a boy wearing makeup. A line for my child to be a child is just a line for her to consume what she's consuming and not going and putting my adult-ass values, perspectives, and politics on a child. I would argue, as a parent, you feel me, that a lot of my fellow straight people, with a lot of my fellow parents, y'all will put y'all own dispositions on your kids. You will sexualize something for your child, and your child don't even know what sex is. I'm gonna say it again. You will sexualize a mannerism, you will sexualize a word, you will sexualize a dance, you will sexualize this, and your kids do not know what sex is. That is not allowing for your kid to be a kid. That is literally robbing them of their innocence and literally convoluting their psyche based off what you believe and what you don't go with. And that's not, to me, I would argue, and I'm a debater too. So if you want to debate me on this shit, let's do it. Like, hey, you get a constructive, I get a constructive, you get a rebuttal, I get a rebuttal, let people decide. But
well, you know, he can go to certain platforms and debate with them. I think it'd be better that he do it with them, because the mentally ill fag went on certain platforms and won twice.
I would argue that
maybe
when
you'll hear
grown-ass
better
people
from a
put their
heterosexual
grown-ass
person.
beliefs on children, it is not letting kids be kids. I rest my case, Your Honor.
There's
But it happens all the time, unfortunately.
That's my beef. That's why I say it so passionately.
All the time. When we involve children, we either weaponize children in these very adult conversations between us, or we involve children in these very adult concepts that have nothing to do with them.
Nothing to do with them. Like,
and the unfortunate part about it is that when my fear is that we force kids to have to make decisions about things that they are not prepared to do by either emulating what they see in the adults in their lives, or forcing them to fall on one side or another about things that they don't even have an awareness about, like sexuality, like sexual expression, like gender, like all these things. Because I can't tell you when I figured out I was a little boy. I cannot tell you when I figured out I was a little boy. But I know that I had to figure it out at some point, because I knew I liked little boys. And so I needed time to develop my self-perception, just like I needed time to understand what I liked. But when we over-sexualize or over-encourage children to be straight, little boys don't do this, little girls don't do that, we wear these clothes, wear these colors, and do all these things, we are forcing kids to not be innocent. Because I think we think innocent just means, you know, oblivious, when really innocent is you give them space to understand who they are for themselves. And I don't think a lot of us as adults want kids to do that. We want them to understand who we want them to be. And that's and now granted, I'm nobody's parent, but now that I have a little girl that I absolutely love and adore and want her to live the best possible life, even as an uncle, I just want her to be her. I don't want her to be anything except her. And if one day she tells me I'm not a her, I'm a him, or I'm a them, or I'm a something else,
I'm a lover.
Great.
Yeah,
great. Help me understand, because I'm gonna rock with you no matter what. That's my niece, and I'm gonna stick beside her.
Shit. What was y'all talking about?
Shit. Excuse my language.
Shit. My language. Fuck y'all.
There was a thing that said something about the idea of like, so are we protecting them from heterosexuality? First and foremost, laughable, right?
Here we go.
Majority of the world is
Y'all told me to let go of the craziness. And
no. But I think that was, but like I think that this one was legitimate, because I felt like this person has been asking like genuine questions throughout the thing.
Okay, I didn't see that, but go ahead.
And so the idea that you can protect a child from heterosexuality is preposterous, right?
We live in a heteronormative world.
We live in a very heteronormative world. There's nothing that you're going to be able to do to keep children from seeing heterosexuality. What I think that we're saying in the adverse is we should not try to shield them from homosexuality or other forms of love as if there's something wrong with the person loving differently just because they're loving differently. Now, if you got an issue with a gay couple because they scam artists and they be fucking up the church's money, that's different.
Put that on scam artists though. Don't universalize it and say all gay folks are scammers. Don't claim don't do that though. Don't become disingenuous with what you're talking about.
Because we don't hate every black man because a couple of black men have raped young girls in the family. Definitely. So my thing is, every single time we see a tabloid about a trans woman, you know, exposing a man for being with her because she didn't get her coin or whatever the case may be, it shouldn't be,
Ain't
oh,
all
all of
trans
them
women,
bitches
you
is
know.
messy. Like, that's not
Yeah,
all
yeah,
trans women.
yeah.
And this is not even a pick me conversation about the, oh, well, I'm not like those girls. Because
It's
sometimes
not.
if a bitch feel like she got to tell her truth, then she just got to tell her truth, and
Yeah.
that's her business.
Like the coin.
But
That nigga should have paid up before he ran
you
off.
should have paid up. But I think that, like, this is not about protecting kids from heterosexuality. It's about reminding them that the world is going to be vast, and no matter what
The
you,
world is going to be
right,
vast.
no matter what you come into, and no matter what truth you accept for yourself, there are going to be plenty of other people who may not necessarily accept that truth for them, and they are also allowed to be
Hello.
one,
Thank
a
you.
part of life, and two, you're also allowed to make that person a part of your life without there being an issue.
And let me bring this heteronormativity piece back. A lot of times, us straight cisgender parents, you feel me? I know there are parents that's not straight or not cisgender, but us straight cisgender parents, we talk about, I have no problem with the LGBT community. I just think we shouldn't push sexuality on kids. I just think that no sexuality pushed on kids. You will say that, and then your daughter will watch, you and your kids will watch a Disney that's literally centered around some romance.
Oh Lord, boom. What more do y'all need to see? What else do y'all need to know? Like, how much do y'all need? How much information do y'all need? I'm over here quiet, and you know on my platform I really don't be quiet because it's my shit, and they over here cooking, girl. It's cooking so much, girl, that I think I'm growing a fupa now. I rebuke it, but it's growing. No. I asked that question. I put that out there. Well, can we remove all sexuality? I'm cool with it. We're removing all sexuality from children. But that means that heterosexuality is going to be doing some very deep, extensive, deep cleaning of removing those sexual things. Because it's so heavily ingrained. Because again, like they said, it's a heteronormative world. But it's not the only sexuality that's here. And the fact that y'all be suppressed by the 1%, like I said, to me shows that y'all must not have power like y'all say y'all do if the 1% got y'all shook. So are y'all ready to rewrite The Lion King without any sort of romance, Toy Story, Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, The Hunchback of Notre Dame? He couldn't even get the chick. Are y'all ready? Of course not.
Or your kids, so you know what I'm saying, you're sending your kids to Valentine's Day to class to have different cards. So to me, it's like as a straight person, I recognize that I had the privilege to be able to court. I had the privilege to be able to practice on being in a relationship. But I've realized that a lot of us parents,
and that's probably the reason why a lot of things or disharmonies be happening in the queer community, because a lot of us, especially at the time where there wasn't this mass awareness, we didn't figure out anything until we were teenagers or an adult. I didn't start dating or was in my first relationship, official relationship, until I was 18 years old. And I saw my heterosexual peers from middle school all the way up have girlfriends. So you're cut. That's why I say, like, it's queer phobia, because you won't even allow queer people to grow up. You want them to fall under depression. You want them to have suicidal ideations. You want them to act out on those ideations. You want to do everything you can. And for the people who is quote unquote not gonna change, will at least hide it. Fuck every single person who thinks that way, and the mother that had y'all. At this point, this is where it becomes dangerous, because you start pressing onto other people's lives objectively. And BubzDaGawd ain't gonna take this shit lying down, because I'm a top.
you know what I'm saying, when you think about, you're gonna be gay outside of my house. It's like, hey, think about how much you learned about relationships from dating when you was in middle school, when you was in high school, and think about how you took that knowledge in your adult life. what you're saying to a young trans person or a young gay person is that they should not be able to ever have that ability or experience because that's something they gotta say after at the household. And I feel like it's hypocrisy. I call it heterosexual hypocrisy, is because you're saying and you going off on the queer people kissing, but when Anna and Kristoff kiss or whatever shit it was, or Simba and goddamn Nala,
Nala.
Jasmine, or it's like I can think of a multitude of examples that is literally sexuality and sex being marketed to children. But you gonna blow a gasket. They got these gay people kissing, they pushing on the kids. I'm talking about I can't even watch a Marvel. Me and my son watch goddamn Marvel. We watching Marvel movies. It's romances throughout there. So where is the outrage?
Tells us all this time. Songs is all that's right.
Read and write before telling me who they like. And what I will offer
take romance out of the beast, girl. She was
kid.
Fucking a beast, an
and
animal. Y'all will accept bestiality, girl.
That my ability to learn was greatly impacted by
you can fuck a dog and fuck a cow, but you can't be a girl. Move out my way.
My saving grace was abandoned.
And if you fucking on a dog and you can get that motherfucker to sign his name Rover on the dotted line, arf, please marry his ass. Would you please do it?
Miss Forrest left when I was in 7th grade, and she finally saw me. And I went from being a failing student to straight A's because I had one person that was just like, I know you different.
One person.
She didn't go as far as to call it gay or straight or anything, but she just said, I know you're different and it's okay. And so as much as we want to say that studies come before everything else, the hard part about it is, hard part for my parents to understand is that I was not able to see anything until somebody could see me. And sometimes that is going to be grappling with a tough truth about your kid that you might not be ready to deal with. And they were going to present it to you before you're ready to handle it. But you got to be able to see your kid as a whole person so that they can navigate the world as a whole person.
Yeah.
And so as much as I would love to say that, just keep your head in the book, these kids live whole lives way before we think they do.
Definitely.
I knew I liked little boys when I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
In pre-K. I had an awareness that I was different than how I had been taught in the first 4 years of my life. And it wasn't until 7th grade when somebody was just like, I know you're different.
Yeah.
And that turned everything around for me. So we want to say these things as if they are in bubbles, like studies in attraction and agency and self-awareness are all different. But friend, I want to offer to you that everything is interconnected. That's why we started with intersectionality. I come into the world as a whole human being. And the more that my parents tried to parse through and allow me to be certain things and not other things, is the more I couldn't in my head engage in anything because I had to figure out who I could be in certain spaces. And until somebody gave me the space to be all of me, is when I actually turned on and was able to be, a dope ass person that, just happened to run funny and have a high pitched voice. But that was okay. Because I did run funny, even though I was fast, because I'm from Kenya.
I think that's a great segment to be able to end on. Y'all see the Unlikely Throuple. We're gonna bring y'all unfiltered.
All right, and shout out again to the Unlikely Throuple. Make sure y'all go over to Conscious Lee's platform on YouTube and even on Instagram. Make sure you follow him, subscribe to him. The same for Hope Giselle. I don't know the black gay man's name, but make sure you go ahead and support him as well. And again, shout out to what actual intersectional black and queer conversations look like. I know a lot of these other ones that are doing it through fear, but I also want to be able to also show that you can have these conversations in a healthy ass way. And I would love for Red Pill Spaces to invite individuals like Conscious Lee onto the platform and like Hope Giselle onto the platform. Really, probably just Conscious Lee, because On some of these platforms, the way that y'all treat queers and y'all treat women, I know y'all would treat trans women horribly on the platform. So another black man like a Consciously, like a Dr. Obi, Professor Obi on the platform, that would be dope. Let's see men check men. Because again, in the words of Boss Man, shout out to him, we can't sit up here and talk about the hypocrisy of other people if we don't talk about our own. And like I said, for the individuals who are objective and can actually see the blind spots and actually articulate what it is, because you have to work through the fear to do that, then I would take the information and then relay it to the queer community. But y'all got to do the same thing for y'all people too. And we see that y'all don't do that. It's kind of like, again, we wait until they do it to do it. But then if we do it, y'all then gonna have to do it by default, and there's fear there. So why not just do it? A wise mystic said, the best thing you can do is just walk in your truth now. Walk in your truth now. People still gonna talk shit. People still gonna throw dirt on your name. People gonna still do all these things, but at least walk in your truth, because it's yours. And we live in a world where people are so insecure and so scared that if somebody else who society says should not rise and cannot rise, does rise, does ascend, does manifest greater, over them, they feel some type of way because, oh, I've been doing this quote unquote the right way, but it wasn't really the right way for you. It was the right way in which society says you should go. The more that y'all be queerphobic, the more that y'all queerphobia will be exposed. And a lot of y'all are so damn desperate and so damn scared to tell the truth that y'all be willing to hurt and unalive queer people just so your shit don't come out. And like I said, in this age of Aquarius, baby, if you don't walk in your self-love and strengthen your foundation, basic foundation of that, you're going to be every which way except on your path. Excuse me. So with that being said, again, shout out to Deshaun, Queen Stevie for sending me that. I definitely have to get in the building for part 3. It would be dope to have a conversation with Consciously, especially Hope Giselle, and also the other black queer individual as well. I'm so upset I don't know his name. I don't want to feel like he left out. But I appreciate that, and those conversations, I really cherish those. So I hope that we as a community, as people, can have more of these conversations, okay? So if you like the vibe over here on BubzDaGawd, please make sure you first of all hit the like button, because it helps this channel to grow in the algorithms, okay? We're at 819. We could be fluctuating, but we on the road to 1K. Again, you like the vibe over here, please make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you can stay up to date with my edited content and my live content as well. If there's anything I said in this live or that you liked from the Throuple podcast live, if you will, please make sure you screen record them, and then when you post them on your social media platforms, to tag me, BubzDaGawd, in them, okay? Because I would love to hear y'all thoughts, whether you agree, disagree, whatever the case. I'm a well-rounded person. I can give it all, okay? And if you feel compelled, you can definitely hit that Cash App at the bottom of the screen, $ BubzDaGawd, okay? We take anything and everything that jingles and folds. Shout out to Queen Spicy in the building. Shout out to King Chief in the building, King Deshaun in the building, King Harold. Okay, shout out to Just Patches in the building. Who else is here? I think that was it. Boy Crazy, shout out to you. Shout out to the people. I think I said Queen Stevie already, right? Queen Stevie. And shout out to those in the replay gang. Shout out to those in the bushes. All right. And make sure that y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Thursday evening, baby. I'm about to go watch something on Netflix and enjoy my night. All right. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
I can be anything I choose in this round. We are a sound vibration too deep to tell.
That's one thing. And
You wanted it,
okay.
and you got it.
You what? You wanted it,
And you what?
and you got it. You would that vibe would never leave you, nor forsake you.
So that
wow.
vibe, so
The
hell
home
no,
team thing?
in no way. Ain't never been a representative for me, so speak for you, my brother.
Honey, I represent all the men here. Anyway.
This for faggots.